first time than this time. So.
Yeah, me too as well. Yeah. My brain is truly like human soft serve today, but I do have this stuff. I just realized I have this. Have you tried this stuff?
No, what is it?
It's called the world's strongest smelling salts. You know when like football players hit their heads really hard, or hockey players get fucked up, they have these little things they break under their nose and they smell them and it brings them back to life. That's what this is. And then like bodybuilder, this is made by like some power lifter, like the world's biggest power lifter. He uses this. And then he fucking deadlifts like 1,000 pounds.
Wait, so you just smelled that and that's what that did? Or
woo! Yeah. It just like wakens up your whole nervous system. It jolts you if you want to try it.
I'll go
give it a shot.
With you,
Make sure you keep it. Close your eyes when you put it on your nose because you don't want it in your eyes.
I already smell it.
Yeah, and keep it kind of like waft it. Don't sniff it. Like waft it. You know what I mean? It'll wake you the fuck up though.
I'm not gonna throw up or anything.
No. Just keep your eyes closed. Woo! Wow. How do you feel?
Weird, man. That was wild.
Yeah. Wakes you up.
I didn't think it was that bad, and all of a sudden it nailed me.
Good morning. Right. Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Woo! Oh man, thanks for doing this again, bro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For people out there who don't know who you are, give us a little bit of a background on what you do, what VETPAW is, and what your background is.
Wow. I'm still feeling that.
Yeah, me too.
So my name is Ryan Tate. I'm the president and founder of VETPAW, which stands for Veterans Empowered to Protect African Wildlife. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit that deploys U.S. and international combat veterans to Africa to train, advise, and assist in counter-poaching operations and assist in conservation efforts to save elephants, rhinos, and other endangered species from extinction.
And you guys have been established in Africa and fighting the problem with poachers for how many years now?
So we were officially founded as a nonprofit in 2014, as an organization in 2013, and we've had a full-time team on the ground, permanent footprint in Africa since 2016 to presently.
Wow, man, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what we've been able to do.
So what is your military background? Let's dive into your military background and how this all started from the beginning, like when you first decided to enlist.
So I'm a United States Marine veteran, grunt infantryman, served in the Middle East, did some pretty gnarly stuff, Southeast Asia as well. Originally from Tampa, Florida, huge military city with MacDill Air Force Base there. But yeah, so I joined the Marine Corps in 2003. I had wanted to go into the military, I think, my whole life. I just kind of needed to get some structure as a young man. And I wasn't sure which branch that I was going to go into. I was always interested in planes, boats, Navy, Air Force. And I joined the Marine Corps after 9/11. I just said, hey, I want to get to the front lines. It really... watching that and the trauma of 9/11 that we all experienced, for those of us that were alive and, old enough to understand what was going on, that was, my first real experience with trauma. And so watching that on TV in English class at Plant High School, I had talked my parents into signing the paperwork so I could do the delayed entry program and get me into the Marine. So I signed my paperwork at 16. And then as soon as I graduated high school in 2003, I went straight to boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina.
So you were 16 when that happened in 9/11?
Yep.
Wow, I remember 16. That day. I remember that morning too. I was in 5th grade and they put on the TV in my class. That was like a weird fucking day. But like, so that day you literally made the decision. You're like, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna make sure that when I'm ready, when I hit the right age, that I'm gonna enlist.
Yep. I remember I was in Miss Rodriguez's English class, and another teacher came in to the portable, and like you could see it on his face. It was after the first plane hit. You could see, I remember it vividly, as I'm sure everybody kind of remembers where they were and what was going on that day. But I remember him coming into the class, and he was, I don't remember the teacher's name. And he busts in Miss Rodriguez's portable, and he always had this happy, he was a happy teacher, happy guy, and you could just see it on his face, like, hey, an airliner just hit the World Trade Center. You need to turn on the TV. And nobody really understood, like, I think he just thought that it was, everybody just thought that a plane hit it randomly. But you could see it on his face, like, that, there was something more to it. And we flipped on the TV, and what do you know, the other plane flies into the second tower.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. Like, I couldn't understand what the hell was going on.
Right.
Like, I didn't understand what terrorism was, other than watching, what is it, Die Hard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was it. It was like a myth. It was this, I don't know. But seeing that and seeing people, jumping out of the buildings, and it was terrible. And I just saw a bully picking on defenseless people. And I've been bullied, growing up. I think everybody gets a taste of being bullied at one point or another in life.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, you should. It's good for you. I don't condone it. I hate bullies, but it builds character. So
it definitely does. And what made you pick the Marines over like the Navy, over Army, all the other different aspects? What made you choose Marine Corps?
Well, I had met some Marines, and I didn't know much about Marines. I was in this, like, it wasn't ROTC, nothing against ROTC in high school. Those kids are great, but I was in this, like, 1 week in a month thing with a Navy program, and they sent us to this little boot camp for 2 weeks, and there were all these retired Navy guys that were being such jerks to us, just hazing the hell out of us. But it, like, in the Marine Corps, when you get hazed in a weird way, it's like, it was just different. Anyways, long story short, these active duty Marines that were stationed at MacDill came in. Man, that stuff really.
You're still feeling it.
Oh yeah,
dude. I'm sorry.
No.
You want another one?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Maybe in a bit though.
Yeah, me too.
So these Marines show up, and I'll never forget it. This guy's name was Sergeant Holloway, and I think he's a sergeant major now, because I looked him up not that long ago. So he's way up there now. But he pulls up in his Blazer, windows down, and he's got Marine Corps running cadence blaring through the speakers. The stuff that we run to, and left, right, left.
Yeah.
And he's jamming out to it, gets out of the car. His chest is sticking out a little further. His sleeves are rolled so tight that, his veins are, pumping. And then here comes these two corporals around the corner, and they're in their camis. They're crisp, chests out, shoulders are back. And I wanted to be that. The way that they talked, the way that they presented themselves. And again, nothing against the Navy. Those guys are great. But the way those Marines hazed us versus the Navy, it was a lot harder, but it was genuine in a weird way. It was like, we're going to destroy you in the best way that's going to make you better. Whereas the Navy guys just acted like they wanted us to die. You know what I mean? They thought we were scum of the earth, but I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Like, they didn't want to see any good come out of it. They just wanted to fucking destroy you and smash you into the ground.
Yeah, like destroy all these 15 and 16-year-old kids. And these Marines came around, and they're like, we're going to destroy you to the point that it's going to make you more confident in a way. I don't know.
It's weird how that works, isn't it? It's weird, like reading David Goggins' book, it was fucking mind-bending for me. Like, it really opened my eyes to, like, how brutal that stuff is, how it breaks your body, your mind, your ego, everything about you just breaks you down, and only like a small amount of people come out of that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, rarely people die, but only a very, very small percentage of people actually make it out of that and like become a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking grueling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's literally one of the, if not it's one of the toughest tests in the world, becoming a Navy SEAL. Those dudes are studs.
What is the difference between boot camp and the Marines?
Okay, so boot camp in the Marines is just to become a Marine, not just to become a Marine. That's the proudest title, other than husband, that I have. See what I did there?
I like that. Shout out to your wife.
That's right.
She's an angel for letting you stay another day and do the podcast.
Oh, Lauren's the bomb. You probably get more views if she was on here. She's so much cooler. It's the only reason why I have friends. I tell everybody that. It's because of my wife. So if she ever leaves me, so will my friends. But
same.
But no, so that's to get into the Marine Corps. Navy SEALs, you got to go through you have to go through Navy's boot camp, and then you've got to be the best of the best just to go to, their selection course, and then only the best of the best make that. So it's a unit within the Navy, whereas the Marine Corps boot camp is in order to get into the Marine Corps. I mean, we have specialty units, recon units, MARSOC units, things like that. But so that's our level of Navy SEALs.
And once you finished boot camp, how long did it take you to get shipped over to, where was it, Afghanistan at first, or was it Iraq?
Afghanistan.
Okay.
So I first went to Okinawa, Japan. I was like, why not? Let me get out of this country and let me go see something cool. I didn't want to go to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. It's not a fun place. It's very depressing.
Why is that?
Because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's only Marine Corps.
Oh, okay.
Which I love the Marine Corps, but sometimes you want to get away from what you see every day.
Yeah.
Closest airport is Raleigh. It's like 2 hours away.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're gonna do something that fucking gnarly, like it's a bonus to be able to travel the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I did that. And so I was living in a beautiful place. And I remember standing in my unit, and they always do this. They're like, hey, we need 3 volunteers. You don't know what it's going to be. They line you up in the platoon, and they say, we need however many volunteers. And not everybody raises their hand. And if you raise your hand, who knows? You could be, I don't know, going and picking up a truck somewhere, or you could be going to, Europe on a ship, or you could be going to Afghanistan. And so I had literally been at this unit for a week, actually, I think 3 days. And I was one of the youngest guys there. They said, hey, we need 4 volunteers. Boom, raise my hand. And I'm like, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? And because the last kids, the last Marines, because the first day I got there, they did the same thing. And I didn't get picked. They went on a ship to Europe. Well, I'm like, sweet, I need to raise my hand. And so I did. And they're like, you're going to Afghanistan. But I was excited. Well, I was excited because I wanted to go, that's what I signed up for, to fight for my country. And you think that you want to do it. And then all of a sudden, when you're told you're doing it, it's like, oh, shit. All right. Life comes at you quick, real quick. Yeah. And then I remember having to call my mom and tell my mom, and she's like, so your whole unit's going? I'm like, no, I raised my hand. And she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah.
What was your, did you have in your mind? Like, how did you picture Afghanistan in your mind before you went? Did you spend time like researching the country and the culture and the land, like the landscape? Or did you just say, it's fucking Afghanistan, there's terrorists there, and I'm going? Like, how was the reality compared to what your perception was?
I would say it's the latter more than anything. We didn't have, I don't even know if I had a computer at the time. This is back in 2004. Yeah. And
wow, that was before the iPhone 1.
Yeah. We had flip phones.
Yeah.
It was there was no real research. You can go to the library.
Yeah.
Watch, Fox News, CNN.
That's crazy. Yeah, all you get is the fucking TV and the newspaper.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even have a TV at the time because I was living in a barracks. So, you could go down to the common area, the little living room downstairs, but yeah.
Wow.
So I trained up for that, ended up deploying on ship and get to Afghanistan, and Congress says we have too many Marines in the country, and they pulled our whole ship back out, it was less than 60 days later.
Wow.
Yep.
So you took a ship the whole way there, and then they automatically reversed, got out of there.
Yep.
Then what happened?
Then I came back. I did the tsunami, the big 2004 tsunami cleanup. Remember the huge tsunami that happened? The first one?
Where was it?
Indonesia.
Oh, yes.
That was brutal. Pulling people out of trees.
Really?
Mass graves. It was terrible. Yeah.
How did you guys flew to Indonesia, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then when you got there, what was it like when you first arrived?
It was like a nuclear bomb went off. There were cars on top of buildings.
Whoa.
Nothing. I mean, everything was leveled. It was terrible.
So you guys were just on a rescue mission. You guys just like set up camp, and then you guys like splintered off and into groups and just tried to rescue people and save them.
Yep. It was terrible. Those poor people, what they had to experience. I didn't even know what a tsunami was. I mean, did anybody really?
Yeah, it's different, right? It's different what you imagine a tsunami. Like I always imagined a tsunami just being like this giant, like 100-foot wave that crashed on land. Yeah. But it doesn't look like that.
No, it's like,
it's like this little, like low level, like surge that just comes in.
Yep.
It's not necessarily like a big ass wave.
No, it's not just a quick wave that falls and collapses. It's just a wall of water that's, a few feet high or 6 feet high.
How long after the tsunami did you guys get there?
Probably a week. I think it was a week.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad.
And how long did you stay there?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep.
Damn, man.
It was bad. And then after that, I came back to, they switched my duty station to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And, excuse me, within 2 months of being there, I got pulled into a specialty unit, mixed up of a bunch of PT studs, physical fitness studs, and guys that had specialty training, whether it's shooting, scout swimmers, all kinds of stuff. They just kind of made this little all-star unit. I don't know how the hell I got picked for it, but I did. And we meshed really well. And within 3 months, we were off to Ramadi, Iraq. And at the time, it was the most dangerous city in the world for it, just period, for anybody. It was brutal.
How long before you arrived in Ramadi were there already troops there?
Oh, they had been there for a while. So Ramadi was the last big city that we had to take. So in order to get to Ramadi, you had to take Fallujah, and then you can get to Ramadi.
Okay.
There's some really good books out there on it too. I'm trying to think of the name of the one.
This was sorry, my ignorance for the whole history of it, but like this was after they got Saddam.
Yes.
Okay.
This was 05.
05. When did they get Saddam? Do you know?
That was it 04?
Was it? Okay, so it was close. So. I wasn't way off.
It was close. It might have been. I remember where I was. I was in an airport.
Yeah, I remember because I was mentioning before that Kristen Beck, when she was on here, she had pictures sitting, like her and like her whole group. They took pictures of each other sitting in Saddam's throne. She must have been there a couple years earlier.
Yeah, I lived in one of his palaces while I was there too. One of his palace in Ramadi. We dropped a huge JDAM bomb through it, so the whole front of the thing was just blown up. But the rooms that we were staying in had like gold ceilings. And,
really?
Yeah, it was pretty.
And
wild.
you guys just took over the palace and lived in there. Yeah. That's really fucking cool.
Yep. Bunch of Marines living in a palace.
You guys, what was your guys' like mission when you were there? Like, what was your group's objectives, like your day-to-day objectives while you guys were in Iraq?
So we were doing patrols, presence patrols, but there was a really nasty area that the Army, because the Army was so stretched thin, and there was a nasty area in Ramadi that they asked us to take over. And so we were going in and hitting Ba'ath Party members, Saddam's Ba'ath Party members that were still hidden and undercover, and then the FBI's most wanted list as well. Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty cool, though, because
hitting them?
Yeah, we were going out and getting them.
Like just literally going out and capturing people.
Yeah, boogeyman. Yep.
That's great. That's the stuff you see in the movies, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the gnarliest shit.
Yeah. The first big hit I did, it's my first time in a combat zone too. I was the point man for a 60-man mission, and we were going to one of the top Ba'ath Party members' homes. We found out where his home was, and I was the point man. So I was the first man into the compound, into the home, and into every room. It's like Russian roulette. I mean, you can open that door and there could be a bullet hitting you in the face.
Suicide bomber.
Yeah, and the guy behind you holds your flak jacket by the handle. So in case you get hit, he can hold you as a human target, like a human shield. Yeah. And so he's looped in, and I go in, and I'm so amped up that I found the guy and I tackled him to the ground. The guy behind me, or the next fire team behind us, is holding him down until we take the rest of the house. And I come back around, And I'm like, I've got zip ties. I pull them out and I flexi cuff them. But I did it so tight because I was so amped up that they had to carefully cut it off because the veins here, it was like literally his hands were turning purple. I didn't do it intentionally, but I was just amped up. You know, 20-year-old kid from Florida is now going after a total scumbag in the Middle East. And but it was pretty wild. It was a cool, it kind of set the tone for the rest of my deployment.
Were you guys mainly taking people alive? Like, was that the objective? Like, to get people captured alive so you could like interrogate them or talk to them and figure out, get intel?
So when it comes to bath party members, yes, but then there were other targets that wanted dead or alive.
Okay.
I mean, that said, you don't really, I mean, I know there's a lot of guys from my era that would disagree, but you don't really want to go into a place and escalate force. I mean, you want to dominate that situation. You definitely want to bring it up 20 times higher than anything else that can be thrown at you. But when you start shooting, it takes it to a whole other level. And my objective, and I think I speak for all veterans, my objective is to bring my guys home alive. And shooting, being the first to fire, is not the way to do that. Now, if you're fired upon, then you let hell rain down. Absolutely. But no, I mean, I only fired when, you know, firefights were kicking off. You know, it wasn't going in and just taking somebody down. That's unarmed or anything like that.
What was like the level of threat with the IEDs? Being out there, living out there, and going on missions and whatever it may be. Like, how much of a threat were the IEDs?
It was, the whole area was infested with IEDs. So,
and for people who, I mean, people know the term IED, they have a general sense of what an IED is, but can you give us like a technical breakdown of what an IED literally is? So
it's an improvised explosive device, and it can be planted. It can be planted anywhere. It can be planted under a road, next to a road. They can detonate it with pressure plates. They can call it with a cell phone, tripwires even. Most of the ones that we were dealing with were either cell phones or pressure plates. We did have some landmines that we had some brilliant brass officers that decided they were going to send us on foot to go look for landmines. And I'm like, that's when I almost lost my shit. Like, I had a staff sergeant pull me aside and he's like, hey, you need to cut it out and do what you're told. But so I did. But yeah, that's when I'm sitting here like, this is just stupid. I'm on foot. It's nighttime, and my mission is to go find landmines. What in the hell is going on? Like, how the hell am I supposed to see a landmine at night, period? And you know what I mean? There's units for that. Anyways, long story short, yeah, it was infested. And the problem was there was no presence at night in the area. So we had to implement curfews. And then if you're out after curfew, there could be problems for you. Like, I'm going to take you down. If there could be a firefight, but I'm going to detain you and take you in.
Like anybody
that's out after dark, you're going in.
Really?
Because they're planting bombs everywhere. So we had to dominate the night, own the night.
So the people that could possibly plant the IEDs at the landmines, they're only doing that at night.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what did you ask anybody? Like, how far did you take it when they told you guys to go out on foot and look for landmines? Like, did you ask questions?
Yeah, so we had a staff sergeant out there with us who outranked me, but he was just there to authorize air support if we needed it. So he wasn't in charge of that mission. I said, say what you want, but we're almost done with this deployment and I'm taking all my guys back. So we are not going to go and do that. We are going to go and do a presence patrol in the neighborhood, make sure that nobody's getting, bullied by insurgents, by Al-Qaeda, and we'll mess around over there. But I'm not doing that, and none of my guys are.
And what happens if you refuse to do something like that?
I mean, nothing happened to me, thank goodness, because it was Staff Sergeant Milo, I think was his name. He covered my ass. It was terrifying though when he grabbed me and was like, "Hey," because I was mouthing off on the radio. I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is unbelievable. Listen to what you're telling us to do." And he grabbed me, and this guy was on the Marine Corps wrestling team. This jacked black guy pulls me aside. cut it out. Stop. What are you doing? And I'm skinny. I mean, I was 165 pounds soaking wet. And he scared me straight right there. And I said, well, I'm not doing it. Like, just like a child. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And he goes, do what you want. This is your patrol. Do what you want. Just cut it out on the radio.
Ooh.
So you could tell that he was like, yeah, I don't want to do this either.
Yeah. Holy fuck.
Might have just threw him under the bus.
Holy shit. Okay, so when you guys are going out at night, how do you guys avoid IEDs?
I mean, if I'd rather be on foot than in a vehicle all day. We were on foot there. You just stay off of roads.
Just stay off roads.
Yeah, stay off of roads. If you got to cross a road, you just really need to look for burlap sacks or, you know, anything they could hide it. I mean, they were hiding IEDs and dead animals on the side of the road.
Whoa.
Dead dogs and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty.
So they can be pretty fucking small then.
They can. So what they do is they'll take like an artillery round, the big shells.
Yeah.
And they'll put accelerator. So like some type of high burning fuel around it with styrofoam. And the styrofoam, once that gas or whatever it is ignites, once the bomb ignites, you get shrapnel that goes everywhere. But then you have the gas that burns hot and catches the styrofoam on fire, and then it sticks to your skin. So you're literally burning alive if you get hit by it. It's so morbid.
And there's dudes that literally hide out in like buildings and watch you and then watch where people are going, and they use their phones to call it.
Yep. So anytime you leave a gate on base to go on a patrol, no matter what time of day, there's always people watching. There's always somebody watching. You are
bad guys.
Yep, bad guys. You are either in their binoculars, in their rifle scope. There is somebody watching to alert everyone else that you're coming. So what we would have to do is we would embed with a larger foot patrol, and we would get dropped off to do hits or something like that. A hit. It's not a real hit. That we would hit the home, and then 4 or 5 of us would stay in the home. And most of the time it was an abandoned home or something. And then the rest of the unit would leave, take off in trucks, and we would sit there for a couple hours. And then when the coast was clear, we would sneak out of the house so they wouldn't know that anybody was still out there. It was really quick, so you can't count the amount of people that went in and came out. And then the 4 or 5 of us would sneak out and then really go do the real hit, or, you know, just observe the area, which is pretty wild too, because you're in such a nasty area and there's only 4 or 5 of you, a little small fire team.
Yeah.
Just sitting there hanging out, but it's cool.
Do you guys get, when you guys go out there and like there's a small group of you on the ground, like hitting houses and stuff, how real is it? Because this is how it goes in the movies. There's like, usually there'll be one of your guys like in a building on with a sniper, like watching out. Does that happen often? Is that real?
Yeah. We have an overlook that's watching. We have an angel up there that sits and watches.
It's so weird how like that is so fascinating to people, the whole sniper aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like sniper stories are just so fascinating to people. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, Marine Scout snipers are badass.
What makes them different?
Dudes. I mean, Marines are just a rare breed.
Yeah.
We eat crayons, so.
You eat crayons?
That's the big joke. We eat crayons and we're proud of it. I don't know.
But like snipers, it's a different kind of like, it's a different mindset than being on the ground, like surrounded by a bunch of guys. It's like you're alone and you have I guess you have a radio and you wait for an order to take a shot, and you have to be different to be a sniper.
Well, so it depends. I mean, there are situations where snipers will sit there and wait for the call, but there's other situations where it's like, no, if you see a guy with a rifle, like you take him down. They have full authorization to shoot. It's that's a lot of responsibility and a lot of
and it's I guess it's different too, because when you're tell me what you think about this. Like, if you're on the ground and you're raiding a house and there's a guy charging you with a knife or a fucking gun or whatever it may be, and you're fucking defending yourself. That's different than being removed from it a couple blocks away and being scoped in and literally blowing somebody apart.
Yeah.
Because you're not really there. You're not necessarily, you might be defending somebody else, but you're not really like in that zone of like your whole body is just fucking charged. You know what I mean? Maybe it is. I don't know.
No, I think I have so much respect for anybody in a marksmanship role like that, because you have to, I mean, that guy has no idea if you think about that. And it's funny because I have a friend in New York, and he invited me to the first red carpet premiere of the movie on Chris Kyle, American Sniper.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't red carpet. They said red carpet, but it was behind the scenes, not the black tie stuff. And Bradley Cooper was there.
Oh, really?
And he's sitting on stage, and we watched the movie. Amazing. And they had a Q&A after. And I'm like, I'm going to ask him a question. Screw it. Like, because my buddy's sitting here, dude, ask him something. Ask him something. You're the only military guy here. So I was like, all right, screw it. I was like, when I said, Bradley, first of all, amazing movie. It's incredible. I actually had the privilege of meeting Chris once in a forward operating zone. Just I didn't know who he was at the time or any of that. But anyways, I said to him, I was like, I know what a sniper goes through when they zero in their scope and they have to squeeze that trigger. I was like, you being a brilliant actor, did you have to put yourself in a mindset of actually convincing yourself that you're in that role and you're about to kill somebody when you squeeze that trigger and when you're sighting through that rifle? And he said, I 100% did. I said, well, how was that for you coming down? Because I know that, after I've fired at a human being and coming back to the United States after, like, I know what the PTSD that I get from that and the stress. I was like, did you experience any level of anxiety after and getting yourself out of that role? And he said, absolutely. He was like, it's mind blowing. So I don't know what you guys experienced over there, but so imagine that if an actor has to put themselves in that kind of role, so deep into the role to convince himself that when he's looking through that sight, he's going to take a life. Now imagine actually doing it in real life and then taking that life. I mean, the famous sniper line is reach out and touch somebody. I can reach out and touch you at any time. And, it's when you think about reaching out and touching somebody like that and what that means, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wonder how much it really fucks him up having to put himself mentally in that position, like removed from actually pulling the trigger and murdering somebody or ending somebody's life, like another human life. Like, obviously there's a line there, like you're doing everything you can to be in that person's mindset, but I wonder how similar it actually is to the real thing. I'm
sure it's not. It's definitely not the same.
Yeah.
But even just that, screwing with somebody.
Well, that's why so many actors are fucked up, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like having to literally like do that to your brain every however many years they do movies, like especially like crazy roles, like the Joker or something. Like who was the guy, Heath Ledger, who played Joker in Batman? Like OD'd right like before the movie even got released, because dude, that's trippy to be able to put your mind in this whatever the actor may be, but in the Joker's case, it's like pure psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine what it would be like to just murder tons of innocent people and have no feelings about it? Like to have no PTSD, to have no regret or remorse or anything, just like do it and completely be numb to it?
No.
There's so many people like that.
Yeah. I think, and one of the things I remember most about deploying in war was watching a young Marine take a life and watching how just that moment, their entire presence just changes. It almost makes me emotional to think about. Like I remember quite a few times where you see this happy-go-lucky Marine badass, some of the happiest guys in my unit, and they take their first life and everything changes. And to this day, they're just different people. You don't have that same happy aura. You have this you can just see the guilt. I remember first time I shot somebody, I was throwing up in the middle of the night, waking up, freaking out about it. But then you get over that, and then you just become numb to it, and you just go.
Yeah.
But I remember, what was his name? There's a little guy in my unit too. He was like he was the youngest one in the unit. I want to say he was 19, 20, the smallest guy too. And one of my buddies had just gotten shot in the face.
Oh, fuck.
Went through here, the Donica, and out here. And he was still going at the guy.
What?
So he went to tackle the guy because he didn't see a gun. And these guys had one of the other squads had just gotten in a shootout with these guys. And they took off running, and they murked like a bunch of them in one of the cars. They just pulled up on them. My boys are in the road, literally like Mighty Ducks line V, just bah, 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 nailing these dudes. And then there's 3 cars behind them. Those cars peel off into ditches, and then they run. They get out of the car and they run. And so we're hunting down the rest of them, and sure enough, they pull up in the Humvees, and they see a couple of them. One goes running, and Z goes and tries to tackle him like this. Because if you don't see a gun, you don't know if it's the same guy. You don't just shoot. A lot of people think it's just Marines and soldiers or
people
just
running
away. Psychos.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to do that stuff.
Right.
Even if we talk shit before the deployment, that's just shit talking. We don't actually want to go out there and do this stuff. And so he goes to tackle him, and the dude had a Saddam Hussein a pistol with the seal, the ivory handles and seal, and went like this, shot him through here, and it went out here. And he kept running after the guy, and but he fell to the ground, and this young Marine comes around the Humvee, posts up, boom, boom, boom. 2 to the back and 1 to the side of the head. Just perfect shots.
Wow.
But then watching this kid after, and I call him a kid, but that's a grown-ass man right there. Watching his whole demeanor change. Like, everybody was excited for him. Like, dude, you got your first kill. This is awesome. Like, bro, you freaking nailed that guy, man. That's textbook. Holy shit. I mean, and but you could see it in his eyes, like he wasn't into. I mean, he was smiling, but it was so fake. He just everything changed, and the same thing that happened to me, waking up in the middle of the night after my first time having to shoot somebody, throwing up. I got up in the middle of the night, and I went out of the NCO barracks and went over here to the junior Marine barracks, and I saw him on the side. It's like 3 a.m. and he's throwing up, like just squatting down by the wall. And he looked at me. I didn't go over. I didn't talk to him or anything, because I just could tell he didn't want that. He just needed some time. But I mean, there's some other guys too. After they took a life, it just, your whole life changes.
Dude, that's so fucking heavy. It's you have to, like, I would imagine one of the ways you have to cope with that is, I know it sounds so horrible, especially like given the hindsight of history and all the wars that humanity has been through, to like, if you're that kid and you're in his shoes, like, if you want to be able, if I'm trying to imagine how, I will never even get close, but if I was trying to imagine how I could cognitively cope with that for the rest of my life, like, I would have to, I would imagine I would want to think of that person as subhuman or not human, the person that I took out, you know what I mean? Because if I think about that too much, or think about that person being the same as me, that hurts. But if I think of that person as like, who knows what the truth is about him? Like, we know we're on a mission. You're on a mission. You have your orders. You have to do this. There's no questioning anything. Like, you're doing what you're doing to save your life and your brother's lives. But to cope with that, you no matter what the fucking context is, who cares? Like, that person is not a real person. That's how I could cope with it if I'm to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the battle. I mean, I agree with you 100%. That's the mentality that you have to take to it. But then as you grow older in life, like I think war teaches you, especially those moments, empathy at another level. And I think you just have to have more empathy for yourself than anything else. And whether they're right or we're right, who's wrong, I don't know. And I'll never know until, I die and I meet my maker. But while I'm on this planet, I choose to say, hey, politics aside, it was my life or that person's. Mm-hmm. And it's just how you have to live with it.
And you say, like, another thing I think about all the time, but I think about it like in another aspect of, you see like young kids become really successful and make a lot of money at an early age, like in their teens or early 20s. It does something to people that are going through the normal stages of human development, from when you're born to when your brain stops developing. I think scientists or researchers have found out that your brain doesn't stop actually developing until you're like in your early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
And you're going through, there's certain things that you have to go through in life through stages of development, growing up, like being bullied or whatever it may be, to become a well-rounded human being in our society, in the context of our world that we're in today. Like, there's certain things you have to go through, but there's things that can happen that could fucking alter that trajectory so hardcore. Like, the greatest example that I come up with is NBA players or NFL players. These kids that are straight out of high school and get handed millions of fucking dollars. Yeah. Like, what does that do to your mind, to your ego, to your fucking relationships at that young of an age, compared to think of somebody who's already been through it, suffered, struggled, been broke, been fucking cheated on, whatever it may be. And then you're in your 30s, you've been through all this, then you achieve something like, I've been broke, I've been nobody, and now, I can enjoy the fruits of all of this. I've made whatever it is. Like in this example, it's people making millions of dollars. Like, you have the context of the rest of your life to compare it against this success. So when you take, I guess, like trying to compare that with kids who are, you call them, they're men, but they're fucking in their teens or early 20s and they're doing this kind of thing, that has to severely fuck with your development through the rest of your life. Especially, like, sometimes these people are only deployed for a couple of years and then they're just back to normal life in the United States.
Yeah, Eric Church has a song, it came out like 2 years ago, Stick That in Your Country song. And one of the verses he says is so powerful. This is why I love Eric Church. I hope he watches this because dude's a legend. But he says in the song, tell that to the kid coming home from war, 23 going on 54. Stick that in your country song, something like that. And it's true, because your brain just sees things. It's fast forward mode. It's such severe trauma and you're not prepared to see it, that now it's like, hey, you just skipped decades of your life where your brain was supposed to mature or equip itself to handle something like that. I don't think anything will ever truly equip you to handle that. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to backtrack and fill that gap. Right. And that's where the struggle comes in big time.
Yes.
I told you yesterday, I was a liability when I got out. And I got out because my mother and my family, period, went through a lot of stress. That we say in the military, the toughest job in the Marine Corps, in my case, is either being the spouse or the mother of a Marine. Because you have to sit there, you're helpless, you're powerless, and watch your spouse go deploy to some of the most dangerous places in the world. And there's nothing that you can't just quit. You can't just say, hey, honey, why don't you get a new job? That's not going to happen, It's also why I was single my entire time through the Marine Corps, because Marine Corps was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's brutal. And coming out was harder than anything that I've ever done. Getting out of the Marine Corps, I was a Marine operating, literally walking the streets like I was still in war, essentially. I was so hypervigilant. My head was on a swivel. If I saw something stupid or something fucked up, I was going to fix it. That was my plan, to fix the world one asshole at a time. Jesus, that's a terrible, terrible mentality to have in life, because we've got a lot of stupid people.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows how many years have been taken off my life due to the stress and PTSD of not just war, but the Marine Corps itself. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
I love the Marine Corps. But
well,
yeah,
I mean, there's a statistic about how many ex-Marines and SEALs like take their own lives every single day. There's like a certain amount.
22.
There's 22 a day that take their own lives. That's unfathomable, man.
Hey, man, I used to hide this stuff because it was embarrassing, but if it can help somebody, that's kind of my mentality now. But I was there. I was ready to take my own life. And there was a whole chain of events that prevented me from doing so. But I think it could be a lot higher thank God it's not. But like, we need to put attention on that stuff.
Yeah, man. It fucks with your brain. It's just, it's not right. I mean, a lot of people talk about, PTSD, and I think a lot of people have kind of like a false sense of what PTSD and just sort of gloss over it. Like, think, okay, you came back from war and now you have, this post-traumatic stress disorder, but like, what is it to you, like in a personal sense? Like, how would you describe how it affected you personally? Like, I remember you said hypervigilance was a big thing, and you walked around with your head on a swivel and you were always like ready for conflict.
Yeah. I wanted conflict badly. It's the only thing that I really knew as an adult. When I was deployed, I was in a position to where if I saw something that was an injustice, I could fix it legally in any which way that I wanted. If I saw somebody look at me strangely and my intuition is telling me, hey, that's a bad person, he walks into his home, I'm going into your home and I'm going to figure out what your deal is. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't, you could be putting a bullet in my brain, the next day. Or if, I'm in a convoy, of vehicles, armored Humvees or MRAPs deployed, and, we're telling, a car to move out of the way and he refuses to do so, and I'm not on a schedule, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to take you out of that vehicle. I'm going to search your vehicle, and then I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to write your info down. I'm going to figure out where you live, who you're related to, who you interact with, and I'm going to check on you. Now you've got me as a big brother, and you can't do that in the civilian world.
Right.
And I just think Americans in general, we sit here, it drives me nuts. We have all these people that just shit all over our country, especially our youth right now. And it's like, okay, do we have problems in our country? Absolutely. We're not perfect. Absolutely. We have problems. But if you think that this country sucks and this is the worst place to live, and America is just this terrible, terrible place, and you haven't traveled. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if you traveled to Bali or Mexico for spring break. That's not traveling. Remove yourself from this society and go put yourself in the real world. I had a relative once when I was getting out of the Marine Corps. I've actually never really spoken about this, but their phone butt dialed me. And I answered, I'm like, hello. And this is right when I got out of the Marine Corps. And the person is telling someone else, yeah, Ryan just got out of the Marine Corps. He thinks life's going to be easy now. Oh, he's in the real world now. Well, guess what I did? I hung up that phone. I called the person back, this relative, and I'm like, the real world, huh? The real world, says the person that's never left the country. You want to know about the real world? Let's go home to the AK-47, where kids are running around the streets with AKs and grenades and RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades. Let's go to the real world where, somebody's parent is not coming home tonight because they got in the middle of a political, a firefight due to a political war. Mm. Let's talk about that. That's the real world. Not sitting here with your cable TV, your air conditioner, drinking your good water, and, I got to get the new Mercedes-Benz that's coming out and this and that. No, these guys are talking about land of the car bombs. Like, right. America's not the real world. It is not.
No.
If you think you've got it tough in this country, I guarantee you don't. There is somebody that would kill to be in your shoes and go through the problems that you have.
Yeah.
Now, I validate stress. Stress is there. But if we think we got problems, yeah, you need to take a world tour, a real world tour.
Yeah. You can see the difference in attitude from people who haven't been to fucked up places, for sure. you know, like not only attitude, but kind of just like perspective and, you know, how they view, you know, other groups of people or other, you know, even, I mean, even when it comes to like, there's so many people that just get stuck in the news cycle and they want to just like label certain countries or certain parts of the world as this or that or whatever it may be. And you don't understand the nuance of what it's actually like being there and living with those people and trying to survive around people like that.
Yeah. And honestly, like, yeah, the Marine Corps is tough and I saw a lot of things and I've dealt with a lot of trauma and depression, but I wouldn't take it back for anything in the world, because having the perspective that I have now makes me who I am. It makes me, I just think that at least in my mind, I'm able to contribute positively to society and not stress over the, you know, dumb stuff that the keyboard warriors and, you know, people that obsess over the news. And
it's a different time now, man. Like the way technology advances, it's like, you know, I couldn't imagine how much different it would be compared to like when you first enlisted and you had to go to a library to read about Afghanistan versus now. Like imagine if that was now. Like imagine if technology was like it is now back then, and you would have had the ability to see everything, videos, fucking people on Twitter and videos of, you know, beheadings and shit. Like how would that change somebody's outlook on wanting to go out there? And how much of it is propaganda too? Like how much of it is, because propaganda is real, you know, countries try to, you know, I know in Russia, here, everywhere in China, you know, countries try to paint a fake narrative of what's really going on and paint the other guy as the bad guy. And I, you know, that had to have been so much easier before the internet.
I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, the technology has its upsides, but it also definitely has its downfalls, its pitfalls.
Like, I don't know how, like, I wonder how hard it would be to like have to send in. You think we'll ever have another war, like a World War II, like ground, like troops going out fully armed with weapons, like shooting each other?
I mean, I think we're already in it, or we're in the beginning stages of what could become a world war. I mean, and
so this talking about like Russia
and Ukraine. Yeah. I mean, you look at Bosnia right now, it's getting close to tipping off.
What's going on with Bosnia?
It's Bosnia and, shoot.
I'm out of the fucking loop.
Oh yeah. I'll send it to you later, but yeah,
okay.
they're getting ready to, it's interesting. And then, but here's the thing, there's all these Instagram accounts too, that are showing like, you know, commercial drones the Ukrainians have dropping, you know, mortars into, or bombs into tanks, Russian tanks below. And people are like, fuck yeah, this and that. It's like, that is sick as shit. Yeah. Like those young kids, they don't want to be there. Yeah, and even if they do, they have no idea. That's propaganda. Like, quit cheering this on. I don't really, you know, some of these guys, it's like, have you ever been to war? Because that's sick and it's offensive to me. You're sitting here looking at it like it's a football game. Like, hell yeah, blow that freaking T-72 up.
Well, there's like, people that are also like super, I don't know how else to put it, but they're just fucking horny for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
people that have never really been in combat, that are just fucking sitting in front of Fox News and they're horny for war. Yeah. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of fucking guys who have on their own fucking will just gone to Ukraine. I don't know if they're veterans or not, but I know there's a lot of civilians, American civilians, who've just gone to Ukraine with their guns and like tried to help the Ukrainians.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. And then, like, I saw this one veteran, and he came back, made this video and posted online. Veterans, don't come to here. We're in Ukraine, and it took us 2 weeks to get a gun. Meanwhile, they're giving out these Ukrainians guns, and then they only gave us 10 rounds each or something like that. Don't do it. I had to sneak out of the country. It's like, well, first of all, you're not a citizen there, so get the hell out of there. And of course, they're going to give weapons to their people before you. Right. Stay the hell out of it. It's none of your business. And that's, in my opinion, that's an act of war. And I mean, you better be careful.
Yeah.
That the laws of war apply to every U.S. citizen. I know, because I still, you know, I've had to learn them doing what I do now. And there's a difference to, like, the tier 1 guys. That's a different story. If you're going out there to do that, you know what you're doing. But these young veterans that think, like, I got to get my combat stripe now, and you know this. No, you don't. You do that for your country. You got that? Like, stay the hell out of it. It's my opinion, but
yeah.
Off my soapbox.
I mean, it's also like, it's kind of weird to have that kind of perspective when it's what our government is like intervening in this thing and giving billions of dollars of fucking rockets and drones and whatever tanks and all this shit to the Ukraine for a thing that, for a purpose that we don't fully, I don't think anyone really fully grasps what it's about, but it seems to be all about money and power and control, like giving, tens of billions of dollars and stuff in weaponry to a country just so, because there's the debt policy where it's going to become debt they owe to the United States. So they're going to owe us. So we'll have control of them. And they're like a mediator between us and Russia. So it's like a tug of war between this country. And like when you start like digging into it, it fucking hurts your brain trying to think about like, what are the motives here? Like, like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's all these elected officials and the people that society polarizes now. It's like senators and Congress,
Nancy Pelosi and all these people like
they're
this.
celebrities to people. It's like, are you kidding me? Like why do you worship the ground that these people walk on? I think most of them probably get involved in politics because they have good intentions, but then I'd say almost all of them eventually, once they start getting that attention, thanks to social media,
and money,
tribalism of people getting behind them, and it just takes on its own. They become a monster, man.
It's weird. Yeah. And I think Nancy Pelosi, she just went to like Taiwan, and now like China's firing rockets, trying to scare them, and the whole Taiwan thing is weird too. Like that's weird. Crazy because I don't know much about it. I really don't know much about it because I'm gonna sound like an idiot trying to talk about it, but.
Let it rip, man.
It seems like from what I've heard is that Taiwan has always been a part of China, and then now it's trying to seem like the way the narrative is being constructed. Austin, maybe you can pull up some legitimate facts on this because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just trying to sound like I do, but it seems like now we're trying to like stick our foot in their business to try to escalate things so we can do the same thing with Taiwan that we did with Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm not a foreign affairs officer, so I don't know the ins and outs. Not foreign service, but the last thing we need is another conflict going on.
Yeah, and it just seems like when the U.S. sticks their fucking foot in the door, it just creates more of a conflict and more of a fucking problem.
It does, but I will say this: if the United States didn't exist, I tell you right now, Taiwan would be officially China.
Oh yeah,
Ukraine would be Russia or.
Can you find out the history on Taiwan? Like when was it actually like, is it a country or is it a state? I don't know what the fuck it is. And when does it, because I know that it used to be like just a part of China, period.
So I think we're the only ones that recognize Taiwan as not part of China.
We're the only
You know
ones.
what? I should shut up and wait until.
No, who cares? January 1st, 1912 is what happened. Okay, that Taiwan was founded in 1912. Okay, in October of 1912, Resolution 2758 was passed by the UN General Assembly, and the representatives of Chiang Kai-shek were expelled from the UN and replaced by China, by the PRC. In 1979, the United States switched recognition from Taipei to Beijing. Okay. So click that one below. It says, when did Taiwan become a country? Sorry. Yeah, it's right. Go back one and click on when did Taiwan become a country? Up right there. Okay, so it's 1912. Who knows, man?
Well, let's see. Taiwan, officially the Republic of China, is a country.
Okay, yeah. And so now China's pissed off when people recognize Taiwan as its own country. And, China's weird too. It's so weird. It's all so convoluted and hard to understand.
Yeah,
people just pretend like they know what they're talking about and talk on YouTube and then like, oh, okay, I'll take that guy's point of view on it.
Yeah, they see a little square meme online that says something that sounds smart, and they're like, shove it in people's faces.
But yeah, I mean, the future of war is fast. It's going to be weird to see what happens. It's different in third world countries, places like Ukraine, where they're literally tanks on the ground. But like, in the future, it's not going to be, there's no way it's going to be that. It's just going to be power grids and controlling, like we are controlling right now. We're like with the sanctions, not letting Russia pay back their debt and starving their people, taking away Netflix and McDonald's. And like, it's a weird type of fucking war. Yeah. Like it's just taking away money and taking away resources.
Yeah. And who ends up suffering? It's not the people that started it. It's the everyday citizens, the ones that are brainwashed. Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
What was I going to ask? Oh, I wanted to ask you, what happened to Chris Kyle? I know, I know, I don't know how he passed away.
He was murdered.
He was murdered.
Yeah, by a Marine, actually. It was, I don't know, there was some internet argument or something where he called out this guy for stolen valor.
An internet argument.
And this guy signed up. Chris Kyle had this program where he would go and take, you know, veterans to the shooting range for PTSD. Like, let's just go shoot, man. Let's, you know, let's shoot around. Let's fire some rounds off, shoot the shit, and let's just talk about life. And the kid that he, you know, called out, I guess, signed up for the program. He didn't realize that was it. And the kid ended up killing him.
Just shot him.
Yeah,
wow.
It's terrible. Terrible stuff.
Jesus Christ, man. People are fucking crazy. And especially when you add the internet onto create, you know, you mix crazy people with the internet, it's never fucking good.
No. Nope.
I want to talk about how you kind of parlayed. So how eventually did you parlay this whole experience and, you know, the suffering, the immense amount of suffering that you had to deal with after leaving the Marine Corps? How did you parlay that into what you guys are doing in Africa?
I have no idea. No. Honestly, when I look back, I'm like, how the hell am I sitting here right now talking to you?
Oh.
How did I get here?
Hey, Austin, can you crank the air down a little bit? Thanks, man.
Am I?
No, I'm just fucking, I'm warm.
Take a hit of your salts.
Oh yeah, I got a call. This won't fucking cool me down. This is gonna make me sweat harder.
Yeah, man.
That wasn't enough. False alarm. Oh!
You might have an addiction here, man. You're enjoying that way too much.
Here, take one.
I'm gonna think about it for, you know what?
Do it. The air just turned off. Okay. Will it turn back on soon?
It's on, yeah.
Oh, my eyes are watering.
Woo! That one was a little easier to do. The first one was straight to the brain.
Yeah.
Just. Oh. That one's a lot easier to take. I can still smell
it. Shit's strong, bro. You get used to it. You build up a tolerance to it after a while.
Yeah. So you do have a problem here, then.
Yeah.
We just established that.
Yeah. We're from Florida.
Yeah. So what's really in that thing, then?
It smells like pneumonia or ammonia.
Jesus. Oh,
that shit is brutal.
So, how did I parlay immense struggling to what I do now? So when I got out of the Marine Corps, this was back in 2009. I got a job with the U.S. Department of State, assisting in diplomatic security, making sure diplomats got to where they needed to be safely, securely, all of that. And it was kind of a cool job. I mean, I'm walking around New York City. That's where I was based out of, in a nice suit, earpiece, you know, armored vehicles, you know, in Hillary Clinton's detail.
Oh, no shit.
Like, yeah, I'm driving in her motorcade, and then, you know, the Attorney General, and then all of a sudden I'm in Obama's motorcade, President Obama, I should say. And like, it was pretty cool at first. And then like, I started realizing, like, you know, this sucks.
Let me pause you real quick.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. You ever seen those photos of motorcades? I forget who it was. I saw a photo of it just the other day of a president walking down a street, and there was a man and a woman there, and they had fake hands. They have like, they're wearing big suits, and they have like fake hands. You could tell they're not real hands. They're like rubber. And you can see that their arms are really in their jackets. You got to pull this up, Austin. Google president security guards fake hands. That's got us. So is it Secret Service that works, that is mainly surrounding like diplomats and presidents and shit like this?
So Secret Service protects heads of state.
Okay.
So presidents. The State Department diplomatic security protects foreign and domestic diplomats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe this isn't something that you guys would have done. But
I mean, this is a long time ago.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
I found someone say it's not fake.
Go to images. This would be something that you could probably figure out better than I could. There it is. Click on the one with the circles.
This one?
Down. Nope.
That one had a circle.
It had red circles down to the right there. Look at that. So see those guys walking? They must be Secret Service, but like, that's a bad photo. But there's photos of him and another woman, and you could tell that those are fucking rubber hands. It makes them look like they're real, but they're like, it looks like they're fucking rubber. Maybe there's another, I don't know if there's another photo. Go to the one on the very left. Yeah, right there. You see that? Does that not look fake to you?
Yeah, it's
Like they maybe have their hands like on their guns or something in their jackets is like what you instantly
it's
think
quite
of?
possible that they do.
I didn't know if you ever saw anything like that in the real world. No.
No,
Okay.
I've seen guys like that with massive guns and stuff, and
Yeah.
guns in briefcases, but
Nothing. That's nothing you've seen before.
I've never seen that.
All right. Anyways.
Bionic hands.
Sorry for the tangent.
No, if that is real, if that's a real hand, that guy should be in a circus.
Yeah, for real.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, just look how big his jacket is. You can. I mean, his jacket looks.
Dude, look at
over.
how long his finger. It's an alien, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
What in the hell?
There's so many photos of it. People obviously have noticed that it's not.
Yeah, that creeps me
It
out.
doesn't look normal.
Well, if he's a real human, man, I feel bad for him.
Well, it must just be. I mean, it has to be just guns in their jackets. Just have to be ready to shoot. Ready to protect Trump.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Department of State. You're in motorcades. Hillary Clinton's motorcade. Obama's motorcade.
Yeah.
What is your job when you're working in the motorcades?
Just making sure they get to where they need to be safely.
Okay.
And on time. So I was actually on Susan Rice's detail for a long time. She was the U.S. ambassador to the UN and the former national security advisor after she was at the State Department.
Okay.
You know, I know there's a lot of people that are, you know, because of the morning talk shows and stuff where she had said that Benghazi was not a orchestrated attack. So people are hating on her. She took a bullet for somebody else. But anyways, not going there.
I don't think I know anything about her.
Yeah. You can Google it. I'll send it to you. But anyways, she really helped me out a lot. She was very inspiring to be around. She really, you know, at least in my face, it seemed like she cared. So I had, this is relevant and I'll explain in a minute. I had, I was in the State Department for 4 years at the time. And this was actually, 2012. And it was one Sunday night. I had just watched Anthony Bourdain's first ever Parts Unknown on CNN. I loved Anthony Bourdain. Read all his books. The dude was a legend, and rest in peace. He's one of those guys where I can remember exactly where I was when I found out that he died. So I'm watching his first show is on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which I've always been intrigued by. The show ends, and up next was a show about the royal family and what their work in Africa with the Tusk Trust Foundation, which is an amazing conservation organization. They do so much for the preservation of African wildlife. So it was about their collaboration with the Tusk Trust and what they were doing, and I was like, oh, I'm interested. I'll watch it, but I wasn't one of those people, and I've never been one of those people to where I need to see animal abuse, because that is one of the things that will absolutely flip the insanity switch. And once that sucker's on, good luck getting it off. And as far as my animal welfare and animal activism was concerned, the only capacity that I did it in was photography has always been a big passion of mine, hobby of mine. Probably the greatest photographer in the world that you don't know about. Never will. I'm not a sellout, so I choose to keep it to myself. But all jokes aside, I would use my photography skills. I go to local shelters in New York City, and I'd take a dog out on a walk and take pictures of it happy and enjoying life. And they would post the high quality pictures on their website. It improved the adoption rate. of the animals. I was living in a 500 square foot apartment. I had a 125-pound rescued Rottweiler and two 25-pound rescued orange cats. So I could not fit any more animals into my apartment or I would get kicked out.
How many cats was it again?
Two, and they're 25-pounders too. Beautiful studs. Anyways,
I just got into cats. Funny story. I've never been like a fan of cats for some reason, and my wife fucking loves cats, and we got one, and they're the coolest things
They're the
ever.
bomb.
They're fucking amazing. We have an outdoor cat, so he goes outside and roams the neighborhood at night.
Nice.
And like he shows up at the door at like 7 a.m. every morning to eat, sleeps all day, and then he's at the door at 7 p.m. ready to go out and
I'm out. Yep.
and terrorize the town.
Yeah, you're his servants now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're there for him.
They're cool. I love cats.
Yeah, my wife and I are on the board of a cat rescue, Whiskers, Utah. They focus on senior cats and cats with disabilities and taking them out of kill shelters. And we've got an orange munchkin cat. She's this big.
No
She's
way.
amazing.
Those things are so cool looking.
She was 12 years old, duct taped in a cardboard box with two of her siblings, and she didn't get adopted out. And so we're like, we got to take her. We got to foster her. So we fostered her, and she wasn't leaving. And if I ever find out who the hell did that, I'm going to duct tape them in a box, and throw them in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure they don't get out until the garbage truck comes.
Yeah, man, that's the worst kind of fucking person
Scumbags
that can do that,
dude. So I don't watch it. I wouldn't look on Instagram accounts. If I saw it, it would just piss me off. And so after Anthony Bourdain's first show, this was I would say the second most pivotal point of my life happened, and that was watching this documentary on the Tusk Trust Foundation and the royal family. And it started off great. I actually had no interest in ever going to Africa. I had somebody invite me on a safari, and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm good. Africa's cool, but I'll just watch documentaries and stuff. I want to stay in my country for a while. I'm over traveling. And here I am. I work
good
there
reason.
now. Yeah. Yeah. And so what I saw was three just punches to the mouth, metaphorically. And the first was an elephant laying on a tar road, an asphalt road. We say tar in Africa. So an asphalt road in a park, massive elephant, no face. The trunk, which was probably, I don't know, twice the size of this table, was laying separated from the body on the road. And I remember it. There's brain matter and flesh, and there's a Land Cruiser sitting there parked. And I mean, it's an elephant, for God's sakes. I had no idea that poaching was going on. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm so pissed off that I'm locked in. I'm just shocked. The very next scene was park rangers laying dead face down in a field. And now it's like, oh shit, there's a human side of this. Why are these people dead? And then the third scene, this is back to back to back. The third scene was a female rhino, and it was a video, not a picture this time. And she's missing her entire nasal cavity. Like, her horn is gone. And you can see the two lines, like if you were to take you ever see the Michael Jackson thing cartoon? When
yeah.
And there's the two. Same thing. And what had happened is that poachers took tranquilizers off the black market. Why did they do that? Because tranquilizers, when you shoot it out of a tranquilizer gun, it doesn't go bang, so nobody hears it. They don't hear the bang. They're not alerted to poachers in the area. The rhino goes down, and now they can take their time. They don't have to worry about anybody tracking them down or intervening, and you can really take a horn off. I've seen it done on videotape in 45 seconds. You can chop that face off through the flesh.
And they chop it, and they do it because they could do it without really fucking killing the animal, but they do it because it's quicker, right?
Yeah.
They can chop around the thing into their face, and it's just like,
now
in
you
and out.
can remove, like you said, you can remove a rhino's horn, which some places are doing as a preventative method to prevent poaching.
Would it grow back?
It does grow back.
Oh, really?
It's just keratin. That's all it is. It's what your fingernails are made of.
Oh, wow.
It's hairs. But what we're noticing, so we have a headquarters reserve. We have a team full-time in Africa. And then we deploy training teams to other reserves. But this is our foothold. Our reserve has full horn rhinos. We've worked with reserves that do remove the horns. I don't have any issues with it, but what we noticed was it's an alive rhino is better than a dead rhino,
Yes.
whether it has a horn or no horn.
Yes.
However, what we're noticing is that it's affecting the mating behaviors of the animal. The male doesn't have that horn; it can't bully the rhino, the female around, and get her into mating, and so we have less rhinos born. And it's now it's starting to change the genetics, the behaviors of the species. So that said, so what ended up happening is these people were filming her while they waited for veterinarians to come and put her down, humanely. And at first I was pissed off. I'm like, why the hell are they filming this? Like, how can you film this? And in hindsight, when I look back, I'm like, thank God that you filmed this, and you're a hero for doing it, because I can't imagine sitting there and having to pull out a camera and film and watch this happen, this animal die a miserable death. But thank God that they had the courage to do that, because I know that I'm not the only one that was inspired by that. I'm just a little slice of conservation. I'm just trying to affect my slice of what I can control. But there are other people that had to inspire to get involved. We needed that shock moment to wake up to this. This is a world problem. It's not an Africa problem. This is a world problem. But what happened was I watched this animal die, and she had a newborn calf that was not on the film, gone in the bush, lost, scared. That baby ended up dying because it needs its mother's milk. And it shook me to the core. I was feeling, all that emotion that you bring back from war, the PTSD, which it's every strong emotion you can think of wrapped up in, just like Will Ferrell says, a glass jar of emotion. And you throw it all in there, you super glue it shut, and your plan is to cope with it by never having to deal with it. And what happened was, that rhino essentially saved my life, because that jar was shattered. I was pissed off. I was depressed. I was sad. I had anxiety. I was embarrassed, humiliated. Everything. That animal was crying, tears just dumping out of her eyes.
Oh my God.
And I felt everything that she felt. And emotionally, she saved me as a human. I can confidently say I will say there's a very good chance that I wouldn't be on this planet if I hadn't seen that animal die. It was that powerful, to the point where I want to cry right now thinking about her. And I called out of work for 5 days, literally back to back to back. And the special agent in charge with U.S. Department of State called me. He's like, "Hey, dude, when you come back to work?" I was like, I don't know. I might be out another week. I'm just not feeling good. He goes, "Dude, what the hell's going on? Because you haven't missed a day of work in years." And so I was like, "All right, dude. Well, this is what happened, dude. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was crying. I was waking up pacing the house. I was punching walls, real smart. Whoa. Concrete brick walls in my New York City apartment. I was so angry." And so he said, "You need to come back to work or you're not going to have a job. They're seriously going to probably fire you or put you on some other duty or whatever." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'll come back to work." And I was talking to a buddy of mine, my buddy Brent Dixon, and he said, he was like, "Hey, dude," I was like, "Dude, I think I'm going to go to Africa. I got to go. I got to go see what's going on. This is what they're doing." And I remember everybody else thought I was nuts. Even my mom was like, "You can't go to Africa, this and that." And she'll tell you now, I knew you were going to go to Africa. But Brent's like, "Hey, dude," I remember him being the first person to support me. He was just like, "I believe in you in this, dude. And I can tell that you're passionate about it." So the same day I went to NYU to see this open lecture that the CGI director of Life of Pi was speaking. I forget his name. And he had said, there was a young student in the Q&A, last question. I'm sitting in the back. And she says, "What advice do you have for young students going into the professional world? Just life advice." And he says, "The best advice I can ever give you, in my opinion, is that if you feel so passionately and strongly about something that it hurts right here in your gut, not your gut, not your chest, but
Burns.
Right here, just between your rib cage, that it you feel a knot there, then you better act on that or you're going to regret it one day. And my biggest fear in life is not dying. It's dying with a regret. And when he said that, I'm like, that's it. I'm doing it. That is God telling me, you got to go do something. I mean, dude, look at this. I get chills right now. I got goosebumps. Tell me that is not, you don't have to believe in God, but you better believe there's something there.
Right.
Because why the hell was I at NYU in an open lecture? What made me go there, and why did he say that? Why did I stay till the end? Because I almost left a few times because it was boring. And when he said that, like, holy shit, I'm like, I just don't believe in coincidences.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's it. I'm doing it. But what I did do with the advice of some family, they were like, before you go to Africa, just start exploring with the U.S. Department of State. And so I asked around with Susan Rice, the U.S. ambassador to the UN at the time, Ambassador Joseph Torsello, who I believe is the Treasury Secretary of Pennsylvania now. I was really close with him. He was a great mentor for me. I just asked him, hey, sir, have you heard about this and whatever? And he said, no, I haven't, but let me look into it. And he actually went and looked into it. He goes, so what is it about that you were asking about? And I was like, why are we not sending all these veterans that we have, that we paid billions and trillions of dollars to train to go to war? They have the skills to go over here and counter this terrorism, because it is terrorism. Up to 40% of ISIS's operations, their affiliates in Africa, up to 40% of their operations are funded by poaching animals. And there are some people that want to say that that's debunked. Bullshit. That is very real. That is real.
People say it's been debunked. How?
Well, that's just a fake statistic, and we did this study and that's not how they're funded. No, you idiot. That criminals are criminals.
Yeah.
Terrorists are criminals. Criminals are terrorists. The way that they fund their operations, they're opportunists. It's opportunity. So if they see an opportunity to go and kill an animal so they can go and terrorize people and make more money and push their extreme agenda, they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. And that is what is happening. And so I had my security clearance at the time, which was top secret SCI, and they upped it another one so I could go into a SCIF, which is a secured room, to review very high level documents. And they actually upped my clearance so I could research this some more. They pulled some strings for me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I got the real information that I needed to see. And I'm like, hey, this is real deal. Like,
what about that real information that you can divulge was that? Like, what about it?
Well,
did you realize?
It was nothing that wasn't already out there.
Oh, okay.
It was just that it was officially documented in U.S. government cables, and foreign nations are giving this information, saying, hey, yeah, there is a tie between terrorism and poaching here. But because of who had the information, that's why it was top secret. But I mean, you can find the same stuff online. It's just not going to have a government cable attached to it.
So you started doing all the research you could. You knew that this is what you had to do. When you went to the NYU, who was it that was doing the talk? So what did he do for Life of Pi?
I think he was the director of the CGI.
Dude, that's so funny. What a small fucking world. I'm really good friends with the cinematographer of Life of Pi. I met him filming a movie right around here called Dolphin Tail in Clearwater, about a dolphin they rescued with no tail, got caught in a net, and they kept it in an aquarium. And he also helped film a world famous documentary called Blood Dolphin about the dolphins in Japan, the Japanese fishermen who they go out and they chase all the dolphin into this cove, and then they just fucking spear them to death.
Wasn't the documentary called The Cove?
Yeah, The Cove. Yeah. There's one called Blood Dolphin, and there's one called The Cove.
That's my next mission in life.
And they find like the prettiest bottlenose dolphin, and they sell them to SeaWorld for like $400,000 a pop, and the rest of them they just fucking stab them to death, and you'll see them like having seizures in the water, and it's just the whole entire cove turns blood red. It's so fucked up. And the people in Japan are fucking suffering because they're feeding them these dolphin, and the dolphin are like these open water pelagic fish. You're not supposed to eat that shit because it has so high levels of mercury. It fucks with the human body, and it's not good for the human body, but they're feeding their people this dolphin. Like even in schools, like school lunches, they're giving
That's
him fucking
disgusting.
dolphin, dude. It's so fucked up.
Yeah, isn't that the kind of stuff that our government should be working on instead of
And
like,
dolphin are like, I think they're like the second smartest creatures next to humans.
yeah, they're up there. Elephants are up there too.
Yeah, elephants too.
It's sick. It is. I just, that's the thing about humans. We are monsters. You and I sitting here, we're good people, but we have a monster deep within us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's scary. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of people have a very nihilistic view of humans, and some aspects of it are true. It's I don't know how, I mean, it's not a healthy way to look at it, but there's some elements of truth to it. You know, people say that we're just maggots eating a corpse. You know what I mean? Like the world, we're just maggots just devouring this fucking world.
Yep.
It's a fucking very fatalistic, nihilistic way of looking at it, but it's
the truth though.
There's something to it.
It's the truth.
So when did you decide to go finally travel to Africa? And what was your mission when you first, did you just go? Like I'm going to go on a safari? Or what did you do?
So, no. So what I did was, thanks to Ambassador Torsella, Joseph Torsella, which I need to get a hold of him one day. He connected me with several embassies of African nations and their ambassadors to the UN to discuss what their needs were. At the same time, he also connected me, like had his staff find out what the US was doing. And I put together this proposal. There was, a 1-pager, a 3-pager, an 80-pager. I worked endlessly. I loved it. I was researching, writing, and it was in that dream mode. And so I started, handing this to people, decision makers, to say, hey, does this have any, does this hold any water? Does this have legs? Could you see this happening? Hiring veterans to go out and help and assist, because I saw this as an opportunity. The U.S. government, they're not going to go and save animals because they're government, and government officials don't give a shit. And governments don't have emotions, nor should they. But I wanted to pitch this. We have all these guys that we paid all this money to train them, and they don't have a purpose. And I had just found my purpose, and I didn't realize it yet that that's what it was. And we could save veterans with this and use this as an opportunity for development assistance that supports the improvement of international, diplomatic relations. Hey, we're going to come over here and help you with, if the government had to look at this, I'm doing this because I give a shit about, the animals, but I'm trying to interpret this to government officials in a way that would benefit, the government. It's like, hey, East Africa, China's got a stronghold on all of Africa, really. Why don't we go and help with animals? And maybe that'll improve our relationships elsewhere as well. And boom, done. Perfect, right? No, what ended up happening was OES, Oceans, Environmental and Scientific Affairs, I think it's what it's called, one of the many agencies within the U.S. Department of State. They were tasked with what the United States was going to do to help in poaching and wildlife trafficking, because wildlife trafficking is a top 5 international crime. People don't realize that. What the hell OES was going to do about this, I have no idea. And so I started exploring it. And then I also did a call with International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, something like that. I should know the name of that. It's been a long few days. And they both kind of tried to get it. The only reason why they were entertaining the call, though, is because a political appointee was making it happen. And if a political appointee says do this and you're a bureaucrat, you're doing it. And so you could tell. So what ends up happening is, one, they start getting in a fight. OES is like, why are you talking to them? This is our thing. And I'm like, well, because I was told to. And number one, and also they're law enforcement. Like, this is more theirs. And this woman, Christine. I cannot wait to meet her again. So what ends up happening is I was told you can no longer speak to the law enforcement agency within the State Department about it. You speak to us. We're doing this. And so the guys at the guy, David, that's all I'll say, from the law enforcement agency was telling me, oh, no, this isn't going to work. He had no idea about the poaching issue either. go figure, when he retires from the State Department, he is now an advisor in counter poaching. So the asshole literally tried to steal the idea, but make a profit from it because it's not a nonprofit. But you know, whatever, do your thing, dude. If you want to exploit it, that's your battle. You got to deal with that when you meet your maker, not me. And then what happens is OES is throwing an open forum with the President Obama's Advisory Council on Wildlife Trafficking. The White House designated $12 million, not a lot of money, but hey, at least it's something. At least there's a president and a presidential administration is caring, because $12 million, like I said, it's better than nothing. They were deciding what to do with the money and where to designate it. And there was an open forum where they were going to discuss it, and then a Q&A. I went as a private citizen from New York to DC, took the train down, and I'm sitting there, put my name, Ryan Tate. I don't even think I put the State Department on the roster, but I signed up to ask a question. And I'm sitting there. And out of nowhere, Christine and an Assistant Secretary of State walk up to me right before the Q&A. And the Assistant Secretary of State, she says to me, you Ryan Tate? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. She goes, I see that you're going to ask a question. What are you going to ask? And I was like, I was simply just going to ask, is any of this $12 million, is it going to go towards training the guys on the ground, the guys that are dying? The guys that are dying and their family members are being killed to protect these innocent animals.
Like the Rangers?
Yeah, the Rangers.
Right.
The men and women. It's not just guys. There's a lot of female Rangers, a lot of freaking badass women on the front lines. And I said, that's all I was going to ask. She goes, you are not allowed to ask that question. I said, ma'am, I'm here as an everyday citizen. I'm not here in a State Department capacity, and I have permission to be here. She goes, well, I'm telling you right now that if I don't have it in writing by Monday, and this is on a Friday, that you are going to end this little crusade, this little, pipe dream that you have, that you're not going to have a job. And she said, do you got that? And I said, yes, ma'am, I do. I hear you. And then she turns back around and with the Christine woman, and she goes, by the way, we've done our research, and veteran skills do not translate to counter poaching. Now you got me about ready to start throwing chairs, because I'm still like I found my purpose now. I'm doing this, and this isn't about the animals now. This is just about you guys and your freaking egos. You are exactly what is wrong with governments, because you see this as an opportunity to bolster your career. You're not actually doing it because you give a shit about the animals or the people that depend on this wildlife. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to get some award. I could give two shits about awards. I could care less about politics in this. I'm here because I want to save these animals. I need to save these animals. I have to save these animals. And so what did I do? Instead of agreeing to what she did, and instead of causing a big uproar, I had my buddy traveling from overseas that works in conservation, and I told him, I said, hey man, when they call my name, I said, I'm going to get out of here before I start a ruckus. But when they call my name, because I know they didn't take my name off the thing, go up there and ask the question on my behalf. So he gets up there and he goes, hi, my name's so-and-so. I'm here on behalf of Ryan Tate, who works for the U.S. Department of State. And here's his question. And he asked it. And then I went to the White House and told on what to Susan Rice what they did to me. And then on Monday, I turned in my resignation papers and said, fuck you.
Holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Looking back on it, I was definitely ignorant to the fact of what I was doing. But I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah.
God, I'm so glad.
Yeah, man. You became like a fucking dissident, man. You fucking went against what the bureaucrats wanted you to do.
Like, dude,
which is scary. That's scary. I mean, whether you were ignorant or not of the consequences, it's fucking scary.
Well, just literally, I just quit my job.
Yeah.
And I'm still living in New York City. How the hell am I supposed to live? And it bothers me. It's still to this day, it bothers me. Like, you are evil. It's not intentional, I'm sure, but you are evil in my mind if you try to stop something so pure like that. Why would you do that? All because you were tasked to do. Okay, well then you take the initiative and go champion it. I don't care who champions saving rhinos or elephants or solving this problem, because it is a problem. And I hate the word problem. I usually call problems challenges, but this is a problem. Go champion it then. I don't give a shit. Just save the species, for God's sakes. And but it was liberating. It felt, I was like, hell yeah, I got to do this now.
That's cool.
I'm doing it. So I started going to Africa on my own, and I wasn't going out on safaris. I was going with the government officials that Ambassador Torsella had introduced me to. God, what a champ. Without him, I'm telling you, without Ambassador Joseph Torsella, I wouldn't be sitting at this table right now. There's no way. Wow. He introduced me to the people. The president of Tanzania tells us, hey, I want my Rangers to operate like you, U.S. Marines. And I'm like, let's do this, man. Let's do it. Like, I'm getting chills right now.
How'd that feel?
Oh, I was like, you know what Marines are? U.S. Marines? That's awesome, man. I was like, hell yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's do that because we need to save these animals. It was terrible. And I didn't really understand how complex it was. Like, you think, yeah, let's just go over there and kick some ass. We'll go Jason Bourne in the bush, do some boogeyman stuff. But it's way bigger than that. You can't just go over there and, you know, first of all, I had no interest or I was not going out there to kill anybody or cause harm. I just wanted to protect the animals. The last thing that you want to do, especially in conservation, is kill anybody or hurt anybody.
Right. No, you had a purpose. You had like a burning purpose, a mission.
Yeah. I mean, I was
which you had lost after you left the Marines. Now you had it back again.
Yeah. I mean, I was having dreams at night every night about animals that I hadn't even seen in real life yet, other than the zoo. I kid you not.
What was it like the first time you saw one?
Oh, dude, I almost passed out. Yeah, man. I was just, and oh, man, it was cool. The first time I saw elephants in real life, came around this corner in Tanzania, and there was two standing there, and I was blown away. And we sat there for like an hour, and and the driver's like, all right, well, we gotta keep moving. And I'm like, no, just a little longer. And anyways, we go around the corner, and there's over 100 elephants just around the corner. And it's like, no, now we're not leaving. We're staying here. But what I was doing over there was, that's the fun side, but I wanted to get out with rangers and just, live with them, see what it's like. What do they go through? I wanted to learn from them. I wanted to observe, just because I still don't know. Maybe my skills don't translate. Maybe that evil woman was right. Maybe that bureaucrat scumbag was right. I don't know. But the coolest thing was when I showed up and I introduced myself to rangers, and they're like, yo, you're a Marine? You served in Iraq? That's amazing. They were so well versed on the wars and Marine, and now they had this pride, like, you're here to support us in our mission. It's that important? You know about this all the way in the United States? Yeah, I do. And now all of a sudden these guys are charged up, ready to roll.
Wow, man, I can't even imagine Africa, other than maybe, I don't know, Australia, but I don't even know if Australia comes close. But like being in Africa, especially in the parts of Africa that you're in, it's one of maybe two places in the world that you literally have to be worried about being eaten by a fucking animal, like eaten alive by a fucking animal. Like there's so many man-eating animals there, and you're surrounded by them. Like, what the fuck, man?
So they're everything either wants to
in the water and on land.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't stay the hell out of the water. Everything either wants to eat you, screw you,
eat you,
or
both.
Yep, that's what they say. I could have said that in a different way. Yeah.
Oh my God. What the fuck, man? What kind of animals are gonna fuck you and eat you?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've never been in the situation, but
Jesus Christ, could you imagine?
I think it's
being
more of
fucking molested by a rhino or a lion? You surf out there?
I don't surf anymore because I've had surgery on my hands. I grew up surfing.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
We've got a guy on our team, Connor. Connor rips it, and he's a Florida boy. He's from the other coast, and he's got some badass surfboard. He's got a buddy in Thailand. Yeah, he's an Army veteran from Thailand that did a custom rhino boards for him. Like drew them on there and stuff. They're Lost boards, I think, or Almerics, and so he's got them out there. But yeah, our headquarters reserve is like 2 hour and a half from J Bay.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
You're not catching me in that water. We'll be in the helicopters going to the reserve, and you'll see a massive great white shark just sitting there, and the tail is just right off the shore.
How often are there great white attack? They're not often, right?
I mean, I think it was last October when I was there when one happened. I wasn't at J Bay. I was at our reserve. But yeah, some guy got chomped. And then they closed the beach. And it's like, it's not really going to do anything because they're always there.
Yeah, they're always there.
Yeah.
The fucked up thing about the white sharks is that when they bite you, you're going to bleed out. That's the bites are so devastating. There's actually more shark bites, I think, in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, than anywhere on Earth.
Yeah, my wife was just surfing there because her mother lives there, and I'm like, please stay out of the water, sweetie. She always tells me, don't do anything stupid in Africa. And I'm like, you were literally in the water the same day that somebody got bit. Why do you need to surf there of all places?
No,
please go to Daytona.
Like, no, they're in Daytona too. They're on both sides.
They are, but the more bites happen up there
by the inlet.
Yeah. And I grew up surfing there.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man. We'll be fucking surfing, and there'll be just little black tips hydroplaning right across, right in front of us, everywhere, man. They're just eating bait, and the only time they'll grab you by accident sometimes, and people will go to the hospital, but they're just getting a few stitches. Luckily, they're not like life-altering wounds like you get in South Africa. I had a guy here a couple of months ago who is from South Africa, I think Durban, and he does these crazy fucking ice swims. Like he swims from land to one of the islands out there off of the southern tip, off of the Cape.
Oh yeah. The Cape Hope over there.
Yeah. So he'll swim, but he'll have two boats, one boat on each side of him, and he'll swim like in a Speedo all the way to the island and back. Dude's a psycho.
Why?
Because he thinks it's like, he's pushing himself, farther than he can go, like pushing the human body and seeing how far he can push himself and where that takes him. I'm
sure you're getting into some interesting stuff if you're friends with that guy.
Yeah, man. They did it. He also did a crazy thing where they went to Russia. They went to like Siberia. They did a crazy fucking ice swim in the middle of Siberia in a frozen lake.
It's like everyday life for people from Siberia.
Yeah. They're just fucking wasted. They just drink vodka and swim in ice water.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But yeah, dude, fucking Africa. I can't think of any other place where there's more man-eating creatures.
No, there's not. It's the only place.
What a fucking life.
Yeah. Africa is the last real continent between the Amazon and Africa.
Oh yeah, the Amazon too. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
That's the lungs of the world when that's dissipating as well.
So when you first went to Africa, the first couple times you went, whatever, you started working with the government right away?
I did, yeah.
And how did they sort of help you set up camp there?
Well, the nice thing was that I had government protection, but then what I realized was I got bit by corruption quite a few times. But not quite a few times, but one big time. I was living in government housing, driving government vehicles. I had a brand new government Land Cruiser that got bashed. It literally had like 800 kilometers on it, and a freaking bull elephant in Musk. He was in high testosterone period is what Musk is, for those that don't know. But yeah, driver got too close. He reared back and right in the side. And I had to explain that one. Apparently it's my fault, even though the driver I told him not to get that close. And he ended up rolling a car behind us, like a little hatchback, like 20 times, like it was a ball. Unbelievable. People lived. I don't know how, but so yeah, I had government rifles. I checked them out of the armory just for my own protection. But I was going out embedded. I would go in as essentially a spy, and I would act as the assistant for some rich American billionaire or international billionaire, and I would do it with the oversight of the government. I would do small illegal wildlife buys. So I would buy like snake skins or leopard skin, things like that. And that would build the trust up. And then once we got to a certain level, all right, hey, now I need some ivory. You got any ivory? And then the next thing you know, you're buying ivory. And as soon as you buy it, boom, park rangers and police hit the building and they do a takedown. They arrest you and everybody else. That way it doesn't look like,
okay.
I can't do it anymore because my cover's been blown on that. But
yeah. How long did that last?
I was doing that like a year and a half, I want to say. Almost 2 years. I was doing undercover stuff here and there. But we were taking down some really nasty people. We took down in 36 hours. We assisted and empowered the Rangers to do it. We were on the patrols. We would only jump in and help in these takedowns when we saw a potential, safety threat, which these things happen. And we took down, Park Rangers took down the criminal network responsible for 18,000 elephant deaths in 1 year. At the time, we thought it was 10,000. We talked to the parliament members, and they were like, actually, it's more like 18,000. It could be even more than that. And we took them down in 36 hours. Nobody hurt, nobody killed, nothing.
Wow.
We were taking them out of their beds at night through the windows. Yeah, I remember taking a couple guys out of their bedroom window while their wives were asleep next to them at like 3 a.m. And they'd take them out, and the Rangers cover their mouths real quick, and the wife wouldn't even wake up. Yeah, it's sad that you have to do it. I mean, but like,
it is.
And
sad.
these are scumbags. There are some poachers that are poor guys that are exploited by these bigger networks. But do I have empathy for them? Yes, but I have more empathy for the animals. There's only 350,000 elephants left. They're on the they're coming back, thanks to a lot of, amazing conservation groups, not just VETPAW, but there's only 20,000 white rhinos, only 5,000 black rhinos left. I have more empathy for the animals. And when my mom said, hey, why do you have to do this? Why are you doing this and risking your life to do this? I said, hey, listen, I'm only one of 8 billion people on this planet. How many of those animals are left? I'm expendable.
Right.
Do
you look at it that way? Is that kind of, we talked earlier about kind of, that nihilistic view of humans on Earth. They're being like, there's so many fucking people on Earth, and human nature, especially when there's something that happens to humans when you put them in a situation of desperation when it comes to resources and money and feeding their kids. They'll do the worst things when they're desperate.
Yeah.
Humans will.
Yeah.
So have you kind of accepted the fact, or have you come to terms with the fact that you value the lives of these animals over the lives of some of the humans that are there? I know it sounds very, very dark, but when you look at it from a certain perspective, you can see the argument for it, and you can see how it actually does in that context. When you have a population of 8 billion people, and there's a certain amount of them that are just committing these atrocities, like murdering these innocent beings that have no control. They don't know what the fuck's going on. You're not only like, you're murdering, whether it be a rhino or an elephant, and then their offspring are going to be lost and probably die. I can see it from the perspective like, fuck these human beings. I value the elephants' lives over those human beings' lives. I can see that perspective.
Yeah, I guess so. In a sense, yes. I mean, personally speaking, not as the president of VETPAW, 100%. That said, who am I as this white American to come in there and tell them how to live their lives? It's none of my business. The biggest issue in the world, I mean, we're in the middle of the next mass extinction right now. People don't realize it. We're losing species, not just in Africa, but all over the world. And it's not because of poaching. It's because we're taking their land. It's habitat loss. So yes, I do. And here's the thing. Humans we're just another animal species on this planet. And so ultimately, if we really want to save ourselves, then we need to have empathy for our race in the sense to where we're not taking that land. We are valuing it and being stewards of this planet, because if we don't become stewards and we start to lose too many of these keystone species, the effect that will have on this massive ecosystem that we call Earth, it'll be the detriment of humans.
Yes.
So we have to by saving these species, we are saving ourselves. If we can't save these species, we can't save ourselves.
Right. Right.
Every species is important. Here's a good example. We reintroduced black rhinos into a region that they had gone extinct in over 80 years ago. That region's flora and fauna was so imbalanced. The plants, so many plant species went extinct. black rhinos are browsers. So they have this lip and they pick out of thorny bushes and they eat that. White rhinos are grazers. Well, that population of white rhinos was on the decline because there's no grass there. Why is there no grass? Because the bushes are overgrown. If we introduce black rhinos, they start mowing that down. Sun gets to the soil, grass is growing, and now the white rhino population is coming up. And now you have new plant species, well, not new, but plant species that went extinct years ago that are coming back.
Right.
Think about that. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy how we can manipulate the environment in a good way.
We have cheetah we reintroduced into areas that they had gone extinct in years ago. We had a serious warthog problem in that area. We still do, in a sense, but it's not as bad anymore that we've reintroduced them because they're mowing down cheetah, or cheetah are mowing down warthog.
How do you feel about hunters that go over there and pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars for tags to kill elephants?
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other animals besides elephants that they kill.
Yeah, I mean, they do antelope, buffalo. I mean, shoot, they have tags for rhinos in some places. Listen, I'm not a hunter. This is going to sound corny as hell, at least to me, but once you've hunted man, at least in my mind, it's just, I have no interest in shooting something that doesn't shoot back.
Interesting.
I just think it's just not me. It's never been my thing. However, now if you're going to hunt an elephant or a rhino or an endangered species, like you're a piece of shit. And I don't care the amount of money that you're throwing up on the table. I tell you what, that amount of money, you hunt me, I'll take one bullet. You can have as many as you want. Hunt me. If you win, you keep your money and you can go shoot the rhino or the elephant. If I win and I get you, that money goes to conservation. Those animals live. That's what I would say to any douchebag that wants to go out and shoot an elephant or rhino.
What is it about those people?
I don't get it. Now, listen, this is a controversial topic, but hunters with antelope species, it's the same thing. Like every reserve in South Africa, every healthy ecosystem has hunting to a certain level. Even if they say they don't have hunting, they're part of a greater ecosystem. So they get away with saying, no hunting in this reserve. You're part of greater Kruger. Kruger manages the hunting. So you just don't do that. It's a lie. And I know several reserves like that, and I'll probably get keyboard warriors hitting me up here shortly when this airs. That's not true. Okay, all right. Well, you're telling me my team is there full time. You went on a safari to this place and paid a shit ton of money and listen to what people tell you and think it's true. Anyways, it's the same thing as hunting deer in our national parks. Our government regulates it. So does theirs. If you do not balance that population of impala, they will mow down what they eat, the plants that they eat, at a level that it'll affect the other plants and the other food that the bigger species eat. With different gestation periods, it takes 18 months for a black or white rhino to give birth, 22 to 24 months for an elephant.
Wow,
we're talking like 9 weeks and 16 weeks for some antelope species.
Yeah.
You got. I'm sorry, humans. We like to have this idea. We want to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
We're so overly emotional. It's like, no, you can't. This isn't Burger King. You can't have it your way every time. Tough decisions have to be made, and scientists come in and dictate it. We were in a position, a reserve we worked at. Biologists came in and said, "Hey, you have 5,000 too many impala. If you don't hunt or cull, and culling, for those that don't know, is you round up the animals, you just shoot them in the head.
Slaughter them, yeah.
It's one of the most traumatizing things I've ever seen.
They do that with sharks in some places.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Because the surfers want to surf, catch waves.
Yeah, and
not get bit.
Unbelievable. But like, okay, well, so you don't want hunters to come in and do this. So then if they don't come in and take, some of these animals, harvest these animals, then guess who's got to do it? I got to do it. I don't want to do it. So, all right, then you come over here and you do it. You know everything.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't like it either. I don't like it. But the real problem is humans.
Yeah.
If we stop, destroying this planet, then we don't have to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So
what is it though about those fucking trophy? What is it about people who want to go out? It's always these people with like insane amounts of money, like rich people. They want to go like, I'm gonna take my son out to Africa and we're gonna get an elephant tag and we're gonna pose in front of a picture of this big dead elephant. Like, Like what? Like I don't understand. Like what is it about those people that want to do that? And they'll pay so much money and they'll justify it.
Yeah,
they'll justify it. Like we paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this, and we fed the village,
and that means that you care. No, well, if you really cared, then you just pay that money to the reserve and have a veterinarian go and put that animal. Because in many cases, if it's an elephant, it's one that's not many. I don't know if it's many cases, but
they
in some
pick
cases,
one that's old,
where the teeth
right?
are rotting
Okay.
and they're dying a slow death. Which still, why not just pay a vet to put it down humanely instead of shooting it? I don't know. But if you actually give a shit, why don't you just donate the money? I don't know.
Yeah, but if there are these guys with these sick fantasies, some sick fucking billionaire and his kid want to come hunt an elephant and have a trophy just to pound, what do they do with those elephants? Do they just kill them? Do you know? I don't know. I don't know. I've never looked into it. But do they use it? Do they like mount their heads as trophies, or like what do they? If just take that idea in its own little thought bubble and say like there's this elephant that's dying, but this guy's gonna pay us $1 million and he's gonna we're gonna be able to pay this money to our rangers. Our rangers are gonna make $50,000 a year now to kill this elephant that's not gonna live another year.
Yeah, most of that money's just going into some rich guy's pocket, rich African guy's pocket. It's not going to the rangers.
Really?
In some cases, like hunting in general now, hunting does, whether people want to believe it or not, and if you can't come to the table and look at facts, then, I don't want to talk to you, but the facts are is that and I'm not talking about elephant and rhino hunting or endangered species hunting, like the dentist that shot Cecil the lion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that stuff. But antelope hunting in general, I mean, that's arguably it contributes more funding to African wildlife conservation than it definitely
really?
does with ecotourism, because ecotourism also, and I'm a big fan of ecotourism. We have our own lodge where people can pay and come and stay. It's not like high-end 5-star, but it's really cool and unique. But ecotourism has this huge carbon footprint with it. So for one guy that comes over with his son and wants to, take an antelope, like a kudu or something, because the scientists deem that that's appropriate here for a tag, the population supports it, he pays a boatload of money there. Whereas in order to get the same amount of money that he paid, you've got to have like 50 guests come and stay and take flights from America, drive cars and all this food and all of that just to stay at a lodge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, some of these reserves have, staffs of 400 to 1,000 people. They got to pay those bills. And if they don't, that land will be used for pineapples or something else, which is not good.
No.
It's a complex issue, man. It really
Yeah.
is.
And there's people that just want to like reconnect with, like they want to reconnect with like their primal selves, their primal mode.
Yeah.
They want to be out in the sticks and hunt. And there is people that can make arguments about not towards elephants or lions, but towards other types of like deer or elk or antelopes or whatever, saying like eating a wild animal is way better for you than eating fucking factory farmed cows.
The worst thing in the world is buying meat off a shelf.
Yeah.
So I respect it. Like I respect that argument. I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's not an easy fix. It's a lot more complex than just going on social media. And
how do the rangers get paid?
it depends on the reserve.
And what are the issues with the rangers getting paid? Because is it real that some of the rangers and poachers will kind of like switch, like trade positions? Like a ranger will maybe not get paid and have to poach an animal on the weekend just to feed his family and then go back to being a ranger. Like how big is that problem in reality?
Yeah, I don't buy the feeding the family thing in many cases. There are some cases, but you're talking about places like South Africa has like a unemployment rate of like 40%, and that's it's in the 30s. But Mozambique, Zimbabwe, those places, they have it like 50-60% unemployment rate. So It's like, if you have a job, that's one thing. It's the greed and it's the ego that drives it. So I mean, the top dog ranger at Kruger National Park was busted with rhino horn in his trunk. Guy won so many awards. But the people that pay rangers, like government rangers, they get paid by the government. And then private parks, which a lot of people don't realize this. Private parks in South Africa, I believe the number is 35% of rhinos are in private reserves. They have actually private farmers, because they call reserves and private reserves in South Africa, they call them farms. So farmers. But these private reserves have saved 90% of antelope species because of trading game and the sale and trade of game. So they pay their park rangers, these private citizens. And when you start a park as a private citizen, especially in South Africa, you put a target on your back. You don't do it because it's some glorious job and you're making all this money. Many of those people have other businesses that support those reserves. They're doing it because they're passionate about it, and that's their heritage, and they want to save these species. But you put your life in danger the moment you put a rhino or an elephant or an endangered species on your property. And
how specifically?
Well, I mean, there have been farm attacks, what they call them, and where poaching rings will raid somebody's home, the owner of the reserve's home, tie them up, take all their stuff, and shoot them in the head when they leave, or something like that. They'll open the safe, like in those cases where most rhino horn, if it's harvested the proper way, which we discussed is not, it's not good for the species in general, but it is preventative. Some people will keep it in a safe in their home until they can get it to a bank to put it in a vaulted safe. And those are all registered by the government, by the way. So if they hear that there's a dehorning happen, they'll go and hit that house and raid it and take everything.
Wow.
Yeah. It's brutal.
What is the prevalence of the terrorists we were talking about earlier, but the Boko Haram in I think it's northern Africa? How widespread are they, and what is their relationship to poaching? I know you said that poaching funds them. Yeah,
so Boko Haram, especially Al-Shabaab. Well, I won't say especially, because
is Al-Shabaab another terrorist group?
Yeah, okay. they both are ISIS affiliates.
Okay.
They were around before ISIS officially started, but they pledge allegiance to ISIS.
Right. They like teamed up with them.
Yeah, exactly. They are huge bullies. They will go in and mow down villages overnight. You want to see, I mean, they rape, pillage, murder. I mean, light whole villages on fire just for the fuck of it. It is so screwed up. It is pure evil. Yes. And we were talking about it yesterday. They'll kill anybody. It doesn't matter your religion. They will wreck your world. Al-Shabaab, when I was in, I had just come back from Kenya. I was in Tanzania when this happened. They did the mall shooting in Nairobi, where they terrorized the mall until some badass British SAS dude went in with his own kit and rifle and just started mowing them down. They were castrating men in the middle of the mall. You can see it on security footage. Castrating men, just terrorizing people. So look at that. These terrorists are poaching these incredible species, elephants, rhinos, the animals that we had on baby blankets growing up, poaching them to extinction so they can make money to then go and terrorize humans and push an extreme evil agenda. It's wild.
Yeah, that is the worst kind of person. That's the worst kind of thing that could happen in any race or culture.
I have personally tracked them for weeks. These little cells, followed them or tried to catch them. You know, you're putting the puzzle together.
Yeah.
Where you're getting evidence that they either went this way or this way to this city or that city, and you're trying to get their next move to cut them off. I've personally done that with some of my veterans. We have had targets on our head and been alerted to it by governments, bounties, because we were affecting their bottom line. If you affect a criminal's bottom line, I mean, they got nothing to lose except money, and that's all that matters to them, whatever agenda they have.
So do you guys plan that, like, are you guys literally like back at headquarters, like tracking these people and tracking each cell and trying to like figure out the next move? Are you like strategizing this like a war against these guys and trying to stay one step ahead of where they are? Do you guys have people on the inside work that are close to them that are reporting back to you?
We do have informants. Yes,
you do.
We do. When we do these operations, whether or not we have one going on right now, I can't tell you, but
obviously,
but I have to kill you.
Which you could very easily do.
No, I don't know about that. But no, we don't do that necessarily at our headquarters facility. We do that on the fly. I mean, we're a very small team. We, as a nonprofit, in my opinion, do the most with the least, just like the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. We don't have all this fancy technology. Well, we'd love to have it, yeah, but no, we do a lot on a bootstrap budget, and I think that's a testament to our character as an organization. But no, we put these investigations together on the fly while we're moving and going after these guys. I mean, we're on the road nonstop. You don't sleep. We do have informants and they're locals, and they work tirelessly. These are Africans that give a damn. But I'll say this though, our biggest success in counter poaching though is not the flashy stuff. I mean, we've had people label us as mercenaries. That's not what we are at all. My God. Like it's not how you fix this. What we do that has the most effect is by taking subject matter experts from around the world, different trades, whether it's crocheting a blanket to making stuffed animals to cups and household goods and items, and we bring them in. It's a hand up approach, not a handout. And we teach the locals gardening, for instance. They're gardening so much now that they can sell their produce to other locals instead of spending all their money to take a taxi 2 hours to the grocery store and wasting it all there. They're growing their own food, feeding their own family, and selling their goods locally and making money. It's a One Health approach. So it's like, and it takes time, but now these people, they could care less about poaching because they know that, hey, number one, there's some badass rangers on that reserve that were trained by U.S. war veterans or international war veterans, because we do have we've got an Italian guy over there now. He's awesome. But anyways, they know like, hey, it's not worth going in there. Well, I'm going to work with these guys. This is cool. Like, we've got a relationship. They're helping us. Like, you're watching people from two opposite ends of the planet, way different backgrounds, come together for one common purpose. And that's to save the ecosystem that we consider ourselves a part of.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
That's super fucking cool. What wasn't there a story when you guys were doing something and you saw some farmers like on the side of the road, or some guys like chopping, cutting grass? What were they doing? And you inadvertently busted a whole group of poachers.
So we didn't actually bust them. It was the rangers that we were instructing. So Lynn Westover Jr. is one of my best friends. I'm going to say he's 5'6" on a good day, but he is a badass.
With a good pair of shoes.
Marine, Force Recon, Scout Sniper. He's probably 140 pounds soaking wet. Well, no, he's $150 now. He likes Coors Light. Tatted up everywhere. And the nicest guy, but he's brilliant. You should have him on your show because he's like, what he teaches is incredible. So it's human terrain mapping and behavior pattern recognition.
Okay.
We're the only ones in Africa that teach it. And he was our director of operations, but his company's doing well now that COVID is over in these lockdowns. So he's back to his company, SLC Squared, which is 6-layer concepts and consulting. And they teach you how to think like a criminal and pick up different behavior patterns. So they're teaching it to police departments all over this country, and it's a good thing. It teaches you how to work smarter, not harder, and how to mitigate risk and mitigate a potential for escalation of force without, before it happens.
Right.
So it's like, hey, you're coming to me. Let's say you're a police officer, or let's say you're a park ranger, and I'm a local. Well, I know that you just got trained by these VETPAW guys, these veterans, these war veterans. Now I'm really worried about you. Like, I'm nervous. You're talking to me. If I get pulled over out here, I don't care what anybody says. I'm nervous too. It's not just, everybody gets nervous and you get pulled over by a cop. It's an authoritative figure. So Danny, park ranger, comes up to me and you're talking to me. I don't have anything to hide, but I'm nervous. Like, I'm just like, wow, shit, man. Oh, last time a ranger talked to me, he beat my ass or something for no reason. Which that's a whole other topic. We've seen that happen, and we have extinguished that type of behavior.
Just beating the shit out of them.
Oh, park rangers, yeah, because poachers kill their families and things like that. Long story short, I decide, you know what? I'm in fight or flight mode. I'm flying. I'm going, and I take off running. Because this guy's being aggressive towards me. Does that mean that Danny, the park ranger, should turn and shoot me in the back? No, God, no. But I'm able to talk to him beforehand and figure out, hey, let me see if this guy does have something to hide based on his behavior patterns. Is he rubbing the back of his neck? That means his histamines are up. Different things that he's doing. If his histamines are up, he's definitely hiding something. Is he nervous because he's hiding something or because I'm an authoritative figure? And then let's calm that down. Let's bring it down. Let's find common interest, and let's establish who you are and what you're really doing. So the first time that Lynn was the lead instructor here, was teaching this on the very first day of a 5-day course. And we sent the park rangers to the local lodge to grab lunch after the first portion, the morning portion. On the way there, based on what they learned in the course, they saw these guys cutting grass on the side of the road, which is not abnormal. They got to feed their cattle. There were 3 guys, I think it was 3. And what ended up happening is they were picking up cues. The park rangers picking up their behavior cues. They turned the vehicle around, came back, started interviewing the guys, kept them there. All of a sudden, there's 5 more guys on the other side of the fence. They had just stashed their machetes and firearms. They were getting ready to go poach rhinos.
No shit.
And the park rangers came back so excited. We did what you said. We did what you taught us, and it worked. It worked. They didn't have to chase them in the bush or anything. Right. These guys just straight up admitted it, bro.
Didn't have to shoot them. Didn't have to beat them up.
Nope. They didn't get, the park rangers didn't get beat up or shot.
Yeah.
It was a win-win.
Yeah, it's interesting how much more you can accomplish when you can understand the way that the other person is thinking, or the way they like anticipate what the opponent or or whoever it is, the adversary, anticipate what they're going to do next, anticipate their way of thinking, everything else. I mean, even with I know it's a big part of war is being able to integrate with the community and the locals, and being able to have open communication with people, understand how they think, understand their culture, their way of life, instead of just like being in your own bubble and us versus them, no communication, because then you don't really understand anything. And communication is got to be the most important part of resolving any conflict, especially conflicts that are fucking as broad as that.
These people are the ones that suffer at the end of the day. Yeah. It's not the soldier, no matter which side that you're on. It's the people that suffer the most.
Does everybody there speak English, or what's the main language in those countries?
It depends. I mean, South Africa has 11 national languages, recognized languages. That's just the ones that are official. Most people do, or there's a member of the tribe that speaks English. A lot of my guys speak the language. I do not retain language very well.
What is the second most prevalent language? What is the most prevalent language there?
I would say English, Afrikaans.
English, Afrikaans. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zulu.
Zulu.
Yeah, you've got all kinds of languages. Yeah, it depends on the tribe and the area.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder how much language barriers have to do with shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing when you're with the person face to face, even if they don't speak the same language, you understand them. You understand their intent. But when it comes to like, people on another continent, making calls about things on a complete, making calls to people that are commander troops on another continent that they're in control of, there's not only the barrier of space and time and everything else, but there's the language barrier too. And then you're adding a whole nother element. You don't really fucking know what these people are thinking or what their intent is. Maybe by and large what their objectives are, what like the military objectives are, but the people you don't understand the people until you're like really, really there with your feet on the ground,
Yep.
And I wonder how much of that language barrier has to do with conflict, not just in Africa, but everywhere.
It's an interesting Interesting idea.
You know, even if you think
yeah.
if you think about like Russia and Ukraine, you know what I mean? Like we don't understand Russian. We don't know how to speak Russian or Ukrainian. Like I wonder what these people what they're really believe or what they're really being told, because all I know is what fucking is translated to me in English on fucking the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So I always think about like the difference between that compared to being on the ground actually talking to these people, because no matter what you're told anywhere, if you're told something by whether you see it on TV or hear it on a podcast, in my experience, actually being there first person talking to people who live there, it's always different. It's always different being there in person.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, no matter the language, no matter the frustrations or no matter the conflict that you're in, you always just got to treat people with respect.
Yeah.
And try to have some level of empathy, a healthy one, because there are second and third order effects that come with conflict that you know, make things bigger than they should be. You know, you kill someone, like if I go out there and I, you know, God forbid I have to shoot somebody, and I never ever want to be in that position again. And that man he's got a wife, a brother, a son, a dad, a mom, uncles, aunts. Now you've got a whole bunch of enemies. They don't care if he's wrong or right.
Yeah.
In most cases, all they know is you just killed somebody that they loved.
Yes.
And that they needed.
Yes.
And so now they're gunning for you.
Yes, man. That's something that people don't. I don't think a lot of people think about too. Is you have, like, everyone says you have to have empathy, and you should. Like, empathy is important. You have to understand the other person and where they're at. But if somebody in your group killed their kid, they don't have any fucking empathy for you or anybody.
No.
If somebody did anything to my kid, I have no empathy. I'm gonna slaughter a whole village.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's real. That's real in a lot of places, a lot of these poor places, I'm sure it's real in Iraq. You were there, you would know.
Yeah.
People who had their fucking kids murdered. That's the worst thing you can do to anybody. Like, you're going to change somebody. You're going to turn somebody into a killing machine.
Yeah. Yep. And can you blame them?
No, I mean, you can't.
You're a dad.
Yeah. But you're on the other side of it too. You're on the other side of it. Like, some of the people you were fighting, those people were in that position, but you're also in a position where you're not going to get killed. You're not going to get killed. Your guys aren't going to get killed. When you're in that conflict, it is what it is. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, we got to have empathy." You're in a fucking live or die situation.
Yep.
And these guys in Africa are, I don't know what their situation is, but I know that a lot of them are desperate.
Desperation breeds evil. Like you said, it not necessarily evil in all cases, but it breeds, you know, it breeds. Desperation breeds crime and terrorism.
We talked about that yesterday too. Guinea-Bissau, the country in northern Africa.
Yeah.
We talked about that. There's a country in northern Africa called Guinea-Bissau that is essentially a cartel with a flag. It's so corrupted that the head of the Navy was literally like spearheading all of the cartels trafficking cocaine into Africa, into that country. It was all run by cartel. All the heads of every department there were in government was corrupted by the cartel. And, you know, that just goes to show you the poorest countries are going to be the ones that are corrupted the most. And there's a lot of poor countries in Africa.
Yep. That's why, hey, ecotourism and One Health approach is the way to go. And people don't need to do this stuff.
Yeah. How much of like the China influence do you see personally? Because like, I watched a documentary the other day that showed like how China's invested millions of dollars in every single country except for like one. They're building roads, they're building bridges, they're
ports,
building ports, embassies. They're building, they're fucking dumping so much money into Africa. How much of that like do you see when you're there?
I mean, it's not really in my face a lot. I mean, East Africa was in my face a lot, or whenever I'm there. They're driving poaching hands down, and that's not racist to say that, hey, China is the reason that elephants are are going extinct, and it is
they're the buyers. Well, they're a lot of the
90% of the world's
kingpins.
ivory. 90% of the world's ivory is consumed by Chinese citizens. But now, if you say that too much in public, you're all of a sudden a racist.
Really?
Stating facts.
Who said that?
Somebody called us.
That is so fucking dumb.
And then like when the COVID thing happened, that just bringing up the idea that it could have been because of a wet market and the trading. Oh, now we're finding out that there is a high there. It could be. Who knows? There are diseases that come from these places. I'm not saying that that's where it came from, but you bring up that idea in conversation, and now you're a what do you call it? The xenophobe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so anyways, I'm here to save animals. I could give two shits about your feelings.
Right.
It's all about intent. I don't intend to offend anybody, but it's the fact. It's ancient Chinese medicinal medicine says that rhino horn can cure cancer and erectile dysfunction and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. And if you can't accept that, then you need to do some soul searching, because it's this tiptoeing around people's feelings that is destroying our planet right now. But I'll say that China is a big reason, probably arguably the biggest reason that these animals are going extinct, because they're exploiting desperation with these desperate communities. Like, I get it, have empathy for, the xenophobia thing, and that's wrong in, when people intend it to be that way, but why can't you have more empathy for the people on the ground in Africa whose heritage and future are being destroyed by these proven to be bullshit philosophies?
What is being done to curb the
demand?
The kingpins that are buying that are fueling this, that are purchasing all this, all these rhino horns and all these elephant tusks.
And there's an amazing organization called Wild Aid, and there's the CEO of Wild Aid. I'm not sure if he's still the CEO. I think he is. He said this years ago, and I totally agree with it. He's like, you can't just anti-poach your way out of this problem. He's 100% right.
Yeah, you have
can't
to hit the root of it.
I mean, we're just trying to slow the bleeding. We're striving to stop the bleeding. Will we stop it? The only thing that's going to stop it is changing the culture and educating people. And Wild Aid does that. So there are amazing NGOs that are trying to influence policies in these countries. The problem is the enforcement. So like China will come to the table and say, yeah, you can no longer do this or that. And they'll temporarily suspend the trade of ivory or rhino horn, whatever it may be. And everybody gets super gung-ho about it at first. But the guys that have been doing, conservation work for many years longer than I have, you can tell they don't get super excited, because they're like, yeah, we'll see if they enforce it, see how long this lasts. The way to do it is you got to educate people. You've got to educate the younger cultures and generations coming up. You can't change a culture overnight. You definitely can't change a culture in Asia as a white American man. I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's going to make them want to go and poach.
Yeah.
But no, there are some amazing NGOs like Wild Aid that I mentioned that are out there doing that stuff. But while they're doing that, we focus on our slice, and that's, hey, we're going to be that muscle that comes in, works with the community, and we're going to risk our lives, put our lives on the line. I'll tell you right now, and I say this with full confidence, that every single veteran that I've ever deployed to Africa and that we have on the ground now would give their life for not just an elephant or a rhino, but any animal if they had to do that. Just like they sacrificed or were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for their brothers and sisters in war, they are now doing that for these animals. At the beginning of COVID, I said to each one of them, hey guys, Lynn Westover, our former director of operations, and we're prepared to come over there and hold it down. If you guys need to come home and support your families, we totally understand. I just, please give me an answer by Friday. I think it's on a Wednesday. And right there on the call, every single one of them said, absolutely not. I'm not going home.
Wow.
These animals are my livelihood. They are my everything. They are my purpose. And I could not live. We cannot live with ourselves if knowing that we went home to be with family and one of these animals dies. That's power, man.
Yeah, definitely.
That's purpose. That's pure. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, man. How cool is it that, I mean, it's very rare when people are able to find something in life that like it it hits every parallel, every value. It lines up with all of your values. And not only does it like repair trauma and like patch holes in you as a human, but it also helps other people too. Not only that, but you get to do cool fucking shit like save animals, go to Africa and like travel and do all that kind of stuff. But you were able to, when you're able to repair a part of your life that was suffering and be able to do something badass and help other people, you literally like lined up all these things that you can do simultaneously that also helps other people. Like you have one mission that's now your job that is fucking doing so much cool shit and you love it. That's so rare for people to be able to find, especially somebody who's had to deal with what you had to deal with coming back from war. Like the most 22 people a day, you said, are killing themselves, and you've been able to literally turn your fucking life around and change other people's lives. Like just for a normal person who didn't have to deal with the anxiety and the depression of dealing with trauma and war, most people can't figure that out anyways. It's rare that people can figure out something like that, but you were able to do it, and that's fucking cool. It's rare that people are able to do that.
Listen, man, I don't make the money that I used to. You know, my wife and I do well because we live within our means, and we just appreciate it every day that we have on this planet, this beautiful gift of life that we have. We don't take anything for granted. And, you know, there are people that have a lot more than we do, but I guarantee you we are among the happiest people on the planet. And it's stressful what I do. I don't have the fun job on the ground anymore, but you know what? It is an absolute honor, and it is such a blessing that God's given me this ability to help not just animals, but veterans as well. If I could deploy every single good veteran, and I'm not talking about guys that just were on SEAL Team 2000 or, you know, Ricky Recon. I'm talking about guys that need this and want to do this for the right reasons, men and women. If I could deploy every single one of them, I would, because they deserve it. And it's my mission now. I mean, there have been times where I sat there and I'm like, this is so hard.
Yeah.
This is so hard. Babe, I don't think I can do this anymore. And my wife's like, you're not quitting. I know you're not. And I'll never quit this. This is my life. And it's just, I wish more people followed their intuition, because your intuition is not just, your gut's not just telling you something. That's your brain saying, hey, you need to do this.
Yeah.
And if they did that, you'd see a lot more happiness on this planet. That doesn't mean do something stupid like, oh, my intuition's telling me that I need to go start a new Kool-Aid brand or something. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But hey, do it with the right reasons and just keep going.
It's rare, man. It's very inspiring. Tell people where they can find out about VETPAW and like find your videos, your website, how they can support you.
Sure.
How can people donate to it, or how are you guys funded?
So we're 100% a nonprofit. We don't receive federal government money, foreign or domestic. We'd love to at some point, but I take pride in that. VETPAW is only here because people have donated a penny to, you know, $1,000 or more. You know, it's not just Ryan Tate doing this. It's the veterans on the ground, but it's not just them and me. It's the people that give a shit about this. So you can go to vetpaw.org, VETPAW.org. We have a donate page. You can donate stock. You can donate gear and equipment. We need uniforms for Rangers, any camo uniforms, good condition, obviously. We need new boots for Rangers. We need rifle scopes, night vision, thermal. We need vehicles, trucks so badly right now. I need to get 6 new vehicles. They cost like...
Yeah, what kind of trucks do you guys use again?
Well, we've been using 4Runners or 4Tuners, and we just Americanized them and threw good tires and suspension on them. But they're soccer mom trucks, so those chassis aren't reinforced and they break in time. We need Land Cruisers. In order to get the proper Land Cruiser we need, it's $80,000. What my guys can do with that Land Cruiser is incredible. Incredible. We can protect so many more animals and land. We need vehicles. You can follow us on VETPAW, at VETPAW on Twitter. Facebook is just VETPAW. And then Instagram is at VETPAW. We got some cool videos there. Trying to get our YouTube up and going here soon. So
you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do, but it's not where it needs to be. We're an international organization. 24/7, and we've got such a small team, so it'll take time, but we'll get there.
Cool, man.
So
Well,
you got to
thanks
come to
again.
Africa.
Yes, me and Julian are going to come to Africa if I can talk my wife into let me go.
And you can pay to come out and stay in our small farmhouse lodge too. It's really cheap,
Okay.
and 100% of the profits go towards our operations. So you spend time with the veterans, very exclusive. You don't run into tourists or anything like that, and you're incredibly safe. Safer than we are sitting right here.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I always think about Africa. Like, A, am I going to get eaten? B, do I have to like have an armed security?
Nothing is going to mate with you, I promise. Unless your wife comes, that's different.
That's
You guys do your own
reassuring.
thing. And you don't have to pay anything. You've done enough for us. Thank you for this privilege and opportunity, man. It means the world. So
Absolutely, man.
You're an angel to us, brother.
Thank you, Ryan. I greatly appreciate you and everything you're doing. Super grateful.